I answered your question already, and then I said there are a lot of reasons why that takes place. But keep in mind that this is
so why does it take place?
Hold on one second.
Why does it take place?
Hold on 1 second. This man is trying to lecture me on why black people commit so many crimes, but I want everyone to keep this in mind.
Because I live in a black community. I see it every day, and I grew up around this. I know exactly what I'm talking about. You don't, Brian. You haven't been there.
Andre, you don't know where the hell I've been, and you got to let me talk for more than 10 seconds.
I can tell, Brian. Okay? I can tell, Brian, that you haven't been anywhere around.
Andre, a black man's going to lecture me about the black community. What are we doing? So this is Andre Williams, I think. Andre Williams goes up against Brian. Brian, I guess, took offense to something Andre was saying, and now he has Andre up on his show, and Andre, I should say, completely wrecked him. So let's see how this goes.
George Floyd on the 6-year anniversary on the same day of Memorial Day, which I don't understand why we can't chew gum and walk at the same time. But there were some large social media accounts that were attacking me because I was talking about it being the 6-year anniversary. One of those accounts, which we're going to put up on the screen right now, is a tweet, guy by the name of Andre Williams. And we're going to put this up on the screen for you because this was his reaction to what I said. And as we put it up on the screen right now, I'll let you read it for yourself. I'm not going to be able to read it word for word because we are on the radio. But it says, as you can read it right now, it says, "It was a suicide, and then I am called a homophobic slur." His name is Andre Williams. He has a large social media account. I did reach out to him, and I said, why don't you just come on my show, and let's try to have a conversation about this, and we'll see how it goes. That man, Andre Williams, who put out that tweet, joins me right now on PTL. Andre, thank you for joining us. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's good to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for coming on with us, Andre, knowing that we would probably disagree. All right. So tell me where I'm wrong, Andre, and then we'll get to some of the other language you.
It would probably be much easier to list where you weren't wrong, Brian, which is nothing. So I got nothing to say. Missy, thank you very much for the $3. Got nothing to say. Just wanted to show your support. Thank you very much, Missy, for the 3.
Used, but why would you call it a? Why are you calling the George Floyd a?
Simply because this is what black people get when you teach a culture around resisting arrest, around avoiding the police, around going against society and order, stability. This is the problem that we have with black people. This is something that is a big problem in the community. The no snitching, don't talk to cops. It gets a lot of black people killed. We don't ever want to focus on why these people are in these situations. I mean, George Floyd had a terrible history with crime, criminality, drug use. In the toxicology report, there was notable drug use within the system. So he wasn't this shining star and this example of black excellence like they tried to make him out to be. I think he
Who said that? Who said that?
Ever to represent. I would say a lot of black people do. A lot of black people.
Okay, well, fair enough. So let's not focus on what idiots on social media say. Let's talk about what you and I say.
Idiots on social media. How about everybody on the left praise George Floyd? Like, oh my God, like St. Floyd, pretty much. There was monuments that were, there was like a statue that was made of George Floyd. Okay. Meanwhile, Irina Zarutska, she can't even have a mural on the wall without it being taken down.
So I've never talked about him being an excellence or a great guy or any of that. But I also, even if he was a bad guy and he did some horrible things in his life, that still doesn't excuse somebody being murdered. Now, I agree with you that in this aspect, yeah, I wish everybody would not resist arrest. But when the knee was on his neck for 9 minutes, he was not resisting arrest. His hands were behind his back. He was handcuffed. He was lying on his stomach. There were 2 autopsies. And while you are correct that there were drugs and fentanyl in his system, the 2 autopsy reports labeled it a homicide, including Dr. Michael Baden, who has been doing this for over 50 years. A homicide meaning somebody else was responsible for his death. And when you read about the incident, the medical experts all testified. And they believe that based on what, the autopsies, the pressure sustained by Derek Chauvin's knee on his neck caused him to not get enough oxygen to reach his brain. That's according to the Hennepin County Medical Examiner. So it clearly it wasn't a suicide. I don't know why you would call it a suicide. I wish that everybody would,
Yeah. let's not focus on how much of a degenerate George Floyd was. Yeah. But meanwhile, though, whenever he talks about Charlie Kirk, he'll be like, listen, I think Charlie Kirk was a bad guy. I didn't agree with anything he said at all. I think he said some terrible things. I think he was a racist, but he didn't deserve to get murdered. But with George Floyd, it's like, well, listen, he might have done some bad things. Okay, but he definitely didn't deserve to be murdered. That's the thing with the left. It's like bizarre world. We're living alongside people who were in the real world, and they're in their own little bizarre world where bad is good, good is bad, up is down.
Answer to police and do as they're told. But again, he wasn't resisting in that 9 minutes. You would agree with me there. He was not resisting there.
Oh, he was resisting from the beginning. He was very combative. Now, saying was he aggressive and like, oh, was he violent? No. One, this is a 6'4", 220-pound man. All right. I've served with guys in the military that big. You know, those are big guys, especially being black, big guys. And this is somebody who had drugs on him, somebody who had taken drugs, history of drugs, right? And like I said, this culture of resisting the police. This is something that black people are taught constantly.
Yeah.
I'm 25 years old. I've been hearing this all my life. And this goes back to the Eric Gardner case, the Trayvon Martin, two individuals who were, of course, not worthy as well, probably the worst people in our community.
What was wrong with Trayvon Martin?
Even probably Trayvon Martin was a criminal. Trayvon Martin was a terrible.
What did he do?
How about he was in the middle of beating the shit out of man, what's the guy's name? The one that shot him. He was in the middle of beating the crap out of him. Pretty much almost could have killed them. And yeah, if he didn't, if the other guy didn't shoot him, who knows what would have happened? But yeah, how about that? How about in the middle of getting the shit? How about being in the middle of beating the shit out of somebody?
His parents couldn't even deal with him. The school couldn't even deal with him.
George
His
Zimmerman
mother got a kickstart in her political career simply because she sat back and lied and put all this stuff out. Even Ben Crump, the disgusting Ben Crump, this lawyer, civil rights attorney, look how his career got kickstarted from that. And they sat back and lied, said George Zimmerman was Hispanic. He was not Hispanic. Excuse me, that he was white. He was Hispanic. That was something that they completely left out. They pushed this narrative in order to get black people to go out and vote in the midterms, in the general election. They do this every time, ever since Rosa Parks. They've been doing this constantly with black people.
Yeah, but Andre, I know you're talking about a lot of. Andre, you're talking about.
I want to go back to what you said, because you said something about, I'm talking about people on social media. I don't care about people on social media. I deal in my own community. I'm talking about the people I talk to all the time that are black and how we view this situation. George Floyd is the worst representation of black people. I see people like George Floyd every day.
Who's saying that he represents black?
I see people like George Floyd in predominantly black cities constantly. And the problem is, it is simply by the culture and the behavior brought George Floyd to that position.
And why did
George Floyd wasn't a drug addict? If George Floyd was not a...
I'm like, white liberals say he's a representative of black people, Brian. When he died, he was the representative of black people. See, this is what's happening to black America. This is what they have to deal with whenever they come across the police. Defund the police. All cops are bastards. See, this is what black people have to go through. So it was the white liberals, Brian, that treat George Floyd as if he's a representative of all black people.
Criminal, he would not be in that position.
Andre, then why did a jury find that it was? Why did a jury who got more evidence than you disagree with you, and a court decided that Derek Chauvin
can make whatever? I would say this. Here's the reason why: because it was an election year. The political weight on the case, and also the threats, the constant violence we saw across the cities, across the country, they made this decision out of their own safety and own protection, not because it was actually, George Floyd was actually. I actually don't believe that. I believe this is simply because of the culture, simply because of our people, because of what we're dealing with as a people.
Forget about the 9 minutes.
People like George Floyd to this position.
So forget about the 9 minutes of the knee on the neck. Forget about the fact that a jury saw evidence. Forget about the fact that a jury found him guilty of murder, and that Dr. Michael Baden, who had been doing autopsies for over 50 years, you're saying it was all, they lied and it was all political, and the knee on the neck was a normal procedure. Find me one local police precinct where somebody is lying on their stomach and they're handcuffed and they're not trying to get away, and somebody should a law enforcement are trained to put a knee on somebody's neck for 9 minutes. Andre, that's not proper protocol, and that's not proper training.
I can give you a great example. So with the Eric Gardner case, the knee on the neck, of course, the taxes that were used with Eric Gardner were banned in the NYPD. Something that was not, it was still looked down upon in the NYPD. when it
Yeah, but that
comes to
wasn't
the
any on the
Minnesota,
neck.
Minnesota Police Department, it was not banned at all. It
That
was
was
not
not
banned.
any
The
on the neck,
tactics
though.
used on George Floyd were not
That's
banned.
just the
Those are
forearm,
two different
though.
cases where
Two different
Go ahead.
cases. That was a forearm over his neck that you're talking about. We're talking about a knee. And by the way, Garner was not handcuffed either. Those are two completely different scenarios. I'm not defending the officer's actions that day. All I'm simply saying, Andre, is those are two completely different circumstances. I'm specifically talking about.
These are two completely circumstances that are very similar, given the political weight of the cases, given the attention, the media attention on these cases. There's a clear pattern in this country. Hold on. There's a clear pattern in this country of Black people being used as political pawns, both by the Democratic and Republican Party. This is not like this, one side issue. I'm not one of these, boomer MAGA people that want to come on and say everything's with Democrats. Really, we're looking at the elite in this country who use these elections, use people, Black people's emotion in order to gain more power. They've been doing this ever since 1960, the Civil Rights Movement. That's a clear present example of that. But I'm going to go back into what you're saying about the George Floyd case. With George Floyd, look at the drugs that was in the system. That was a contributing factor to his death. Now, you can sit back and say, of course, the knee on his neck, the 9 minutes and so on. What happened before that to get to that point? George Floyd was very combative in terms of not wanting to go into the squad car, very aggressive with the presence of police, given his criminal history, given the fact that he had drugs on him.
It's so funny when Brian actually talks to people who are actually independent, who are speaking at it from like a neutral point of view and such. Like Brian should be able to relate to these people, right? Like whenever he has an actual like independent on, Brian like gets mad at them or he's really combative. Shouldn't he be like, yes, I agree, sir. Like both sides do that. You're right. But no, look how like he's getting like he's like twitching almost. He's like, like he can't handle it. But why though, Brian? I thought you were an independent.
All these things are very, very credible and also well proven. They're documented. We see this, but people always want to dismiss this because, like, well, it's about systemic racism. What's systemic racism? It's about police brutality. What police brutality? Honestly, we should be doing this all over Black cities. We should have more policing in Black areas, more aggressive policing in these neighborhoods. You want to know why? Because Black men like me, young Black men who come home from the military, go to college, who are actually doing well, get killed by these people like George Floyd, or they're getting drugs pushed in their communities by people like George Floyd. So I have no respect for George Floyd. And the jury, like I said, I feel that the weight of the political environment at the time pushed the jurors to go on this decision. Because any other case will look at this and say, you know what?
Here's your evidence.
Given all the things that are contributing to the medical history of George Floyd, this will be a clear-cut dismissal.
Where's your evidence that this was a political and your evidence that a guy like a Dr. Michael Baden lied, a guy that's been doing this for over 50 years? Where is your evidence? It seems like you're just going on feelings and a feel. Oh, I think that this was only.
No, I'm not. That's not what I'm going on. I never go on that, especially with the Black community.
Well, I'm going by the
one thing I don't do when it comes.
Oh my freaking gosh, dude. Imagine Brian Shapiro of all people accusing someone, I think you're just going off of feelings. That's you, Brian. You're all about feelings. Even if this dude was just going off by feelings, how can you combat it? You also go by feelings. You're very feelings based. So like, how can you tell him he's wrong? If he has a feeling about these things, well, you also have feelings about these things. He's always, whenever he gets constantly called out, he has to admit, well, that's just my opinion. Well, then, okay. How can you tell him he's wrong then? This is all just feelings based. By the way, just because a doctor's been doing it for 50 years doesn't mean he can't lie.
Comes to the Black community, because I'm not low IQ and also I'm not overly emotional. I don't go on the feelings of the case. What I'm looking at is like I said, the political environment. Look at the 2020 election and what was going on during that time. And like I said, historically, we've seen this every time around midterms and also the general election. Some Black person gets shot, they highlight it. Black people get shot every day by each other. They highlighted this because they wanted to use Black people's emotion again to get them out to vote in the midterms and, for the general election. They do this all the time, man. This has been going on since the 1960s with the disgusting civil rights movement that's destroyed Black people in this country, honestly. This is something
I love it, this guy. Man, you can tell Brian is just seething inside. It's waiting. Yeah, he wants to call this guy the N-word so badly. You can just tell. It's just bubbling up. Like he just wants to call him a stupid N-word because he's getting so pissed.
We've been dealing with from, I would say, a great deal of Jewish manipulation, of
Care about the black.
financial manipulation
Well,
from the
listen.
financial elite in this country, so on. But
So
go ahead.
Andre, listen. Obviously, I completely disagree with you based on the evidence that was provided in the trial. And again, I repeat it once again. There were 2 autopsies that were conducted. Both found that the main cause of death, labeled a homicide. By the way, that's very important. It was not labeled a suicide. It was labeled a homicide, meaning somebody else was responsible for his death. And yes, Floyd's breathing and the knee prevented oxygen from going to his brain. That's according to 2 autopsies. So you can feel like, okay,
let me ask you this question. Hold on. Let me ask you this question. Given the drugs that was in the system, do you not believe that was a contributing factor, which this was also pointed out by the defense? And also the medical examiners agree with that as well, that this was a contributing factor to his death?
A contributing factor doesn't mean that it was the main contributing factor. And I'm reading verbatim according to the Hennepin County medical examiner. The main contributing factor, according to both autopsies, were that he was struggling to breathe. Oxygen failed to reach his brain, and it was restricted because of Derek Chauvin's knee on his neck. I didn't say that was the only factor, but it certainly was.
So what led George Floyd to be in that position, though? Why did George Floyd find himself in that position? And also, like I said, when we talk about drugs in the system, hold on, Brian. We talk about drugs in this system. I'm going to look at this. We got fentanyl and methamphetamine in your system. That's going to contribute to your breathing, to your heart. He also had a long history of heart problems. This was not something that was just like, oh, he was a healthy, 6'4", 220-pound man that had no prior existing conditions. No, this was somebody who was an active drug user, an active criminal in our community, a worse representation of Black people. And I'm tired. And I'm saying, hold on. Respectfully, glad you brought me on. Wonderful show. But it's white people like you, Brian, that are the biggest killers of Black people, because you sit back and defend. I would say this hard R behavior from Black people.
Where did I defend? Hold on a second.
What Black person did I kill? Have I ever been charged? I've never been charged. I have never been found guilty of killing a Black person. Do you have any proof I killed a Black person, sir? Dude, by the way, Brian is getting fucking hooked. Andre is cooking Brian so bad.
Hold on a second. I'm going to stop you right there, with all due respect. What bad behavior did I defend? Because I'm not going to put up with that nonsense.
You sitting back, honestly defending George Floyd and trying to make it like, well, you know what? He was wrong. It was terrible that he was. Come on, dude. Here's what I'm saying. Here's what I'm saying, Brian.
Stop.
Here's what I'm saying, Brian.
No.
We don't need people. Black people, and especially Americans in general, especially even white Americans. I think it's really disgusting that you would focus on George Floyd and give him, oh my goodness, George Floyd's so terrible, so horrible. We have to remember it. I don't remember people like this. I want to remember the Black people that get shot every day from criminals in our community. I want to remember the failing. I want us to be reminded of the failing Black politicians that sell us out in our community and sat back and got rich from BLM. That's what matters more to me.
Okay, well, we'll get to that BLM in a moment. I'm happy to discuss that with you. I never defended anybody not listening to law enforcement. I never defended anything George Floyd did in his life.
In fact, I've said that if you beat up a police officer or assault a police officer, you're not a patriot. I said that on my radio show several times.
All I have simply said, and I've been very consistent on based on the facts in the case, and quite frankly, you have not, is the fact that Derek Chauvin, George Floyd. Do I wish that George Floyd wasn't tendering a fake $20 bill? Yes. Do I wish George Floyd, before the knee was on the neck, didn't just sit in a police car? Yes, I do wish that. But that also doesn't mean that he deserved to be murdered. That also doesn't mean I'm defending everything
he wasn't murdered
did in his life. He was murdered. Now, you can disagree with that, but a court found that Derek Chauvin murdered George Floyd. The 2 autopsies found that the main cause of death, which was homicide, was the knee on the neck. You can talk all day long about
jury get things wrong. Can a jury get things wrong?
Yeah, in any case, it's possible for a jury to get things wrong.
And that's the position I'm coming from, that the jury got things wrong, given the history of George Floyd, given the toxicology report, given the combativeness of George Floyd prior to the knee on the neck, that he was resisting arrest, that he was fidgeting. He did not want to be put in the back of the squad car. Just because he's claustrophobic and has anxiety doesn't mean that
What's he chewing? Is he chewing on gum or something? He's chewing on something. He's getting antsy. Like man, dude, this is amazing.
Get special treatment. This is the problem that we have within America today with when it comes to policing. Black people are coddled and treated like special little animals. We're treated like special people when we're not. Are we American or are we America's pet? And I'm tired of being treated like a pet in this country. I'm a Black American. I don't care about Democrat, Republican. I don't care about the political alignment. Nobody cares about that. In this country, people need to be held accountable. And the Black community, along with another community that I don't think we can mention on the show, have not been held accountable for their actions very long. We've been sat back and babied enough. And George Floyd was a clear and present sign that the babying in America of Black people is disgusting. And it's only simply for the political gain of others. And like I said, it is white people like you, Brian. I'm just going to say it respectfully, your show, that sit back and will defend and will do all this crying. Oh, George Floyd, he was murdered. No.
But he's telling the absolute truth. Where was the lie in anything that he said so far? He's absolutely 100% correct in all of that. And you can tell Brian, this is the most I've seen Brian quiet in a long time. He has he's trying to interrupt here or there but man, he's just sitting there and taking it like the good white that he is. Red Ghost for the 20, the big 20. Thank you very much, Red Ghost. Just discovered your channel and love your work. Love Bryce Shap. So stupid. He would record himself getting his butt kicked and still post it online as a W with the title like, I broke a magatard's hand with my face. Dude, I can totally see him doing that. Oh, man. Thank you very much, Red Ghost. I appreciate you. Welcome to the channel.
You haven't given me one example of anything that I've said that defended anything other than the fact to say that I believe the jury got it
I said that you sitting back and saying that he was murdered and all this other stuff. That's the problem I have. Honestly, no, he wasn't. Honestly.
Okay, well, you can have that opinion, but the earth isn't flat. We all saw the videos, and that's why Derek
was Trayvon Martin? Was Trayvon Martin?
So here's the issue that I have with that specific situation. First of all, Zimmerman was not convicted. The reason why he was not convicted is because they went for a charge. I covered this case extensively. George Zimmerman should have never gotten out of his car. George Zimmerman should have never followed him, a 911 operator. Now, if they went for manslaughter or involuntary manslaughter,
he actually didn't follow him. Actually, Actually, when he was on the phone, with the 911 dispatcher, they told him not to follow. He was not following him after. It was actually Trayvon Martin that was following him.
He got out of his car when the 911 operator told him not to do so. Now, I wish that George Zimmerman didn't do that. I would also imagine that Trayvon Martin was.
But that's how you know that he's biased. Like, that's how you know he's biased, because notice how he always puts the responsibility on in both situations. Like, he could say all the right things in terms of, I don't condone the violence, or he shouldn't have done this, but he'll always put more responsibility on the person he really dislikes in whatever situation. So in this one, George Zimmerman, well, I wish he wouldn't have gotten out of his car. He shouldn't have gotten out of his car, blah, blah, blah. With the George Floyd case, well, they shouldn't have put his knee on his neck. They shouldn't have put their knee on his neck. Like, you can see who he really, the bias is just so clear. And the fact that he always tries to deny it, it's just crazy.
Scared in that moment, and he didn't know what was going on. I wish he didn't physically.
Trayvon Martin was your typical YN, Brian. Do you know anything about the Black community?
He was shot and he was, and it's a very tragic situation.
Why is it? What's tragic? The culture, Brian. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Tell me, what do you know about Black culture? Because
well, I used to like that MC Hammer guy. I used to think he was. I used to actually own a pair of those baggy pants, and I would try to dance like him. I couldn't. I got to give it up to you, Blacks. You guys know how to dance. I couldn't dance like MC Hammer. I got to give it to you. And the baggy pants didn't look that great on me. And I'm a big fan of basketball. I'm always gambling on basketball. So there's that. Didn't you guys also invent peanut butter too?
I don't know where you live. I don't think. Where are you based out of again?
Why are you asking me about Black culture?
I'm asking you because what you're saying is that it was tragic that he was shot. I don't find it tragic. I find it to be, unfortunately, very poetic that these things would happen. This is unfortunate that we have a community of Black people that glorify this crime and criminality. No, I really don't. I don't have any sympathy for these people. You want to know why? Brian? Because I grew up seeing these people and how they act and how they behave and the paths they take. And I've seen the Black people that avoid these paths like these men and actually take a different path. That's what I've seen, Brian. That's
you don't support criminals. You don't support criminals, then? Is that what you're saying? You don't like criminal activity. You don't support criminals.
Uh-oh. I wonder if he's going to, this is his entryway into pivoting over to Donald Trump. So what you're telling me, you don't like criminals, huh? Well, who did you vote for in the 2024 election? Let's see if we could outshap the Shap here, guys.
Of course not. Of course not. Now, what you're probably going to say about, well, do you support Derek Chauvin or do you support
No, I was going to say
the
that.
actions of?
You voted for a 34 count felon.
Oh,
you voted for a liable sexual abuser. What has Donald Trump done to help black people?
Called it. That's so predictable. I knew it as soon because he's done that before. When you bring up like black people and criminality and stuff, you'll be like, oh, so you don't support criminals, huh? And then that's when he'll segue into, well, why did you vote for Trump, who's a 34 count felon? Or that's when he'll ask, who did you vote for in the 2020 election? To go to. Yep, all the Bryce Shap bingo cards in the chat for all the members right there. Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, here's why I voted for Donald Trump, because he was the closest thing to my interest, Brian. I don't really care about Donald Trump beyond that. I'm going to vote for someone who is a nationalist, who I believe was a nationalist. The MAGA movement originally in 2015, 2016 was a nationalistic movement. Guess what it's become now? A Jewish supremacist movement. It's become a movement of the elites.
Now you listen here, bucko. I've sat here and listened to your black nonsense long enough, you Uncle Tom. But when you bring up the Jew stuff, did you know I'm a Jew? Huh? That's when you cross the line, pal. No more Mr. Nice Bry.
It's become a circus show that many people who support him in the initial phases no longer support him for. So you can sit back and say, well, you voted for Donald Trump. Yeah, because he's the closest thing to my interest, the closest thing to what
you don't like
believe.
Criminals. Why would you vote for a criminal then? You care so much about criminals.
Didn't I just tell you? I voted for the closest thing to my interest. I really don't care about the person. Listen, I don't care about voting Democrat or Republican. I'm going to vote for whatever's going to get my views and my beliefs and my worldview pushed to the forefront. And that's way better.
What has he done to help black people in the year and a half he's been in office? You voted for him.
What's he done to help black people?
Yeah.
Guess what? A lot of these politicians don't do anything for black people. That's the problem that we have in this country. We don't have any politicians doing anything good for black people. And often when they do, when they get into positions of office, they get completely kicked out because, you know what? Other black people don't want to support them because they're too coonish, or they're an Uncle Tom, or, you know, they're not going with the narrative. Both Democrat and Republicans. You're like, well, you voted for Donald Trump. Like I said, for a selfish reason, for my own personal gain, not simply because I'm a grand supporter of the person. I bring that up because he gave the biggest tax breaks to the top 1%. The people that are struggling in this country are the ones that are living paycheck to paycheck.
See, Brian, he realized he was getting destroyed on the black culture stuff. He realized it. He's like that's the most quiet he's been. So as soon as he saw his opportunity to be like, how can I pivot to Trump? How can I pivot? He saw his opportunity and he took it. Now it's moved on to Trump. Let's see how Andre does now that Brian has successfully pivoted onto his favorite topic of all time, Donald Trump.
It's one of the whitest administrations in American history. This is a guy who said he didn't want black people. Well, 13% of the country is black. Let's be honest with that. Less than 1% of the country.
Yeah, it's a majority white country. It's a majority white country shared with a large black cultural majority. We have a very significant majority culturally in this country shared with white. So I look at America as a black and white country, honestly. I'm very ethnocentric, very racial when it comes to this viewpoint that an American can only be defined by two people: Americans, white Americans, and black Americans.
Well, I mean, I don't look at color when trying to have conversations with people. I look at who you are. Are you a good person? Are you a bad person? And going back to the George Floyd stuff, in my opinion, almost everything that you've talked about is irrelevant to those 9 minutes. All that matters is what happened in those 9 minutes.
Now we're back to George Floyd.
According to the law,
I brought up how combative George Floyd was prior to the knee on the neck. I brought up the drugs in the system.
Hold on, let's
I brought up the criminal history, which were all talked about by the defense in the case.
Okay, hold on. If he's resisting, and at the time he's resisting, a knee is on his neck, we would be having a different conversation. The reason why that is not relevant, and it wasn't relevant in the case, and the jury decided in which they were, is because he wasn't resisting in the 9 minutes when George Floyd knee was on his neck. Now, why is that so hard for you to understand?
The body cams are the best thing to ever come out in the 21st century, because we see it every time that it's like, oh, Tanisha wasn't resisting. And then it comes out Tanisha actually was resisting. George Floyd wasn't resisting. And then we look at how argumentative, how combative he was with getting in the squad car. He kept saying that how I'm claustrophobic, I have anxiety. It was also noted that he had drugs on him that was found in the squad car.
Everything you are saying has nothing to do with the 9 minutes. The knee was on his neck when he was handcuffed behind his back, and he was
why was it brought up in court?
Because the defense, who lost, tried to come up with the same excuse that you are, is because before that 9 minutes he was doing this, this, and this. It doesn't matter. What matters is when
it does matter.
No, it doesn't. When not according to our law.
Matter.
That's why he's in jail.
Okay, listen. Let's do some role play. I don't know if you're interested in that. I'm not really too big in that with doing role play, but let's do it. You're a cop. You arrest. You stop me. You have reasonable doubt to assume that I am doing something illegal. You stop me for a reason. The moment you are greeted with me, I'm combative. I don't want to get out the squad car. I don't show my hands.
Yes.
You do everything within the confines of the law and proceed as you're trained. I'm still resistive. Now I will make a note, hey, I really don't want any problems. I really don't want any issues, but I'm still going to be very, verbally resistive.
And you put handcuffs on.
Resistive to the arrest.
And you put him in cuffs.
A while to get handcuffs on. And they put him in handcuffs. And guess what? He went in the back of the squad car. He starts to, I'm claustrophobic. Yeah. I don't want to be here. I'm having these problems. I can't breathe. He said he couldn't breathe long before he was on the ground. So that's the thing.
I would want to ask Brian, like, if he's actually seen the full video, because I'm glad Andre's bringing that up, because when you see the full video, you'll see that they did put him in a car at first, and he was like, I can't breathe, take me out of here.
He was on the ground. He said, I can't breathe. So this isn't like something that happened at the 9 minutes. This is something that happened right beforehand.
You're asking me to role play in the same situation. I'll give you the same answer. If somebody is on their stomach and the handcuffs are behind their back and they're not trying to get away, that is never a reasoning to put a knee on somebody's neck for 9 minutes. That's the part that you're struggling to understand. Regardless of what happened.
Yes, it is.
1,000%.
1,000%.
Use deadly force. You can't use deadly force on somebody when they're handcuffed and they're on their stomach and they're not resisting. Why is that so hard for you to understand?
So you have a 6'4".
It doesn't matter if he was 4 feet tall or 10 feet tall. Irrelevant.
How many guys take him down? And let's take this as well. The fact that there were many other people, the other officers were of various different races, they only focused on the white guy. They really only focused on the white guy. And this is something they want to do in order to get black people to come out and vote.
I'll answer that, Andre. I'll answer that, Andre, because of all the officers, the one officer who had the knee on his neck that probably caused him to die, according to both autopsies, was Derek Chauvin's knee, who happened to be white. By the way, Derek Chauvin also used the N-word at a prior job that he had at a nightclub in describing black people.
What's wrong with that? Who cares?
I understand.
I use the N-word all the time.
I understand.
What's wrong with using the N-word?
You don't think there's anything wrong with calling people homophobic slurs. You called me one, which I think is what's nonsense. Well, because I think it's like
I'll apologize. I'll publicly apologize for that, because I don't think that you are. I think you got a respectable show. You're a respectable individual.
But why use that word? Why use a
I'll be very aggressive. I'll be very aggressive in defending my community. I think that I would say it was pretty gay to come out and say, he was murdered. I thought that was pretty gay.
Why use?
Listen here, you MAGA mushroom gobbler. Why do you use homophobic slurs like calling me gay, huh? Why do you do that, you mushroom gobbler? You probably pleasure yourself to me, don't you?
I don't think that you are a F slur, though, personally.
Why use a homophobic slur or use the term gay in a negative fashion? What is your problem with homosexuality, and why are you homophobic?
Because homosexuals are not a positive for society.
According to who? According to who? According to who?
According to just nature. According to nature. What are you talking about? The natural existence of man, the natural stability of man.
According to who? According to what?
You don't gain anything from having homosexuals in society.
I don't think we gain anything having from people like you.
Do you get children? Do you get children? Hold on. Do you get children from having gay men in society?
Well, no, trust me. I've tried to have sex with a man. I have children with a man. You're right. I can't. Thank you very much, Quilava, for the $4.99. Just assume Brian didn't look into a topic. I've noticed every time he's talking about a sequence of events, he never knows anything past a headline. Yeah, that is true. Like, I highly doubt he's seen the full video of the George Floyd thing. He just saw the 9 minutes with the knee in the neck, and then the talking points, and bada bing, bada boom. I know everything I have to know. Thank you very much, Squilava, for the $4.99. That's what Facebook told me. I get everything from Facebook. Hey, thank you very much, TVT, for being a member for 2 months. Shut it, Bryce shit. Yes, shut it, Bryce shit. Thank you very much, TVT.
Do children come from 2 men?
I don't think.
What's the statistics on two gay men raising children?
I'll answer that, but you're saying you don't think we gain anything in society by having gay people in society. I will retort that by saying I don't think we gain anything by having people like you calling black people the N-word, using homophobic slurs, and not being able to separate fact from fiction, which clearly you're unable to do.
Okay, so Brian, tell me why I'm a bad person, or why I'm not a positive society for calling black people the N-word when there's a
boom. Perfect question. The question that a lot of people have been wanting to ask, why, Brian, can you explain why someone's a bad person if they say the N-word or a homophobic slur or something? Why are they a bad person, Brian?
I'll start in our own interaction. In the brief interaction that we had on social media, instead of you coming up with an argument, you say something that's not true. You can think he committed something. The facts don't back up what you're saying, number one. Number two, and then you use a homophobic slur as if there's something wrong with being gay. Listen, if you don't want to be gay, then don't be gay. I'm not gay. But why interfere in other people's lives? Why don't you let people live their lives? Why do you care?
Because you let people live their lives, and guess what you get? You get Carnival Cruise, you get the teen takeovers, you get the black community in the way they are, you get transgenderism, you get all these problems we have with this cultural and societal rot that has destroyed our country. We no longer are a people of purpose with a proper direction.
Tell me how transgenders
one, it's disgusting. I mean, one, it's already been considered a mental illness. I mean, you believing that you're not is against nature. According to just nature.
No. You just said being transgender is a mental illness.
Nature of man.
According to who?
Yeah, most certainly. It's been noted in the DSM-5.
Professionals that
DSM-5, go look it up.
It's just so annoying how these libs, they always go to medical professionals or some kind of like a study or professor or something. They always have to go to an authority figure to get their to prove their arguments. I think it was Andrew that said it one time. It's like, well, it's easy to defer to the authority when all the higher ups agree with you. It's easy to defer to this study or to the college professors or to the scientists or the doctors when they already agree with you. But it used to be a mental illness, believing that you're the opposite gender stuck in, you're a body right here. If I'm a man and I believe I'm a woman, that used to be considered a mental illness. And then it got changed, 10, 15 years ago? Now they changed it. Why did they change it, Brian? If we could just trust all these people, how come the scientists and the doctors were saying, oh yeah, a man could become a woman and vice versa? Yes, kids could be trans. Yes, we should. If you consult with the doctor and the doctor says so, yes, an underage, a minor should be able to transition. No, you can't. A man can't become a woman and a woman can't become a man. Just because you get surgery to resemble a woman or a man as much as you could doesn't mean that you are one. But now, all of a sudden, you're not hearing it that much. You're not hearing that talk that much. So what happened to all doctors that said it's okay? Quilava for the $1.99. We don't need your kind around here, boy. Brian, yeah. We don't need your kind around here, boy. Yeah, preferably, I think they should ship you out of this country. I think they should send you back to where you came from. That's what I think. Why, because I'm black, Brian? No, sir. No, obviously not. It's because you're a stupid buffoon mega mushroom gobbler. That's why. Oh, is that a homophobic slur, Brian? No, it's not homophobic. Will you stop that?
Okay, so being transgender is
it not considered a mental illness?
I think it's a mental illness to go on social media calling black people the N-word constantly like you do and making money off it. I think
but I'm black. Hold on. I'm black. I can't say the N-word. Why can't I say the N-word?
No. I didn't say you can't say it.
Are white people taking the N-word back? Brian, are you taking the N-word back?
I don't think the word should be used at all. I understand that it's different.
Why?
Black people
Tell me why.
The same
why,
reason
why is it different?
the same reason
Yeah,
why if
why is
somebody
it
called me a
different?
slur because of my religion. I think it's hateful rhetoric, and I think it's bad.
Blacks are
I don't think
religion.
it's good for society.
Brian, why is it wrong for me to say the N-word when I'm describing the problem with my people in my community?
The same reason why you called me a homophobic slur and then apologized, which, okay, great, I appreciate that. But you
I don't think you're. I personally don't think you're a homosexual, but I do think what you did is
what
gay.
does it matter if I was, which I'm not, but what would it matter if I was? What is wrong with you?
It would be a big problem.
Oh, what is wrong?
Because
you homophobic? Did some guy do something to you when you were a kid? I think somebody
scared of homosexuals.
Wait a minute. So wait a minute. What are you trying to say there, Brian? So are you trying to say that? So what are you trying to say exactly? You had to be diddled as a kid or something like that in order to be homophobic, or that maybe you're struggling with something internally because of something done to you? Hey, isn't that what we say? Don't we say that? Yeah, usually a lot of these people who grow up to be gay or something like that, it's a lot of times it was because they were diddled when they were children. Isn't that what we say? Brian, is that what you're trying to say? Are you finally agreeing with us mega mushroom gobblers? Yeah, projection, exactly. Andre flipped the script and got hit with the racism tick. Yep. Yeah, hypocrite indeed. Hypocrite. It's crazy. Brian's trying to shame people that were diddled as a kid. That is what makes someone gay. Yeah, that's exactly what he's trying to say. But if a right winger were to say that, like, yeah, well, typically, there's been studies that have shown that a lot of times they were diddled as kids or something, and that's why they turn out this way. Brian would be like, "That's homophobic. How dare you say that?" But look at how the homophobia, look at all this comes out when Brian gets mad. All these people are hypocrites. All these libs. All they want to do is morally grandstand. He's using right-wing talking points. He's an independent after all. Yeah, I know, right? But Andre is not using the hard R, Brian, so why isn't it okay for him to say it? Yeah. But he never answered the question, though. Good on Andre for hitting him with the racism shtick. That's what I was trying to say. Oh, okay. But yeah, but Brian still never answered, why is it wrong to say the N-word? He hasn't answered that. He just keeps saying the same reason that you call me a homophobic slur. Okay, but what's the reason, though? If it's the same reason, what is the reason, Brian? He's not answering because I don't think he knows.
I just don't think it's productive for society to have men.
Guess what? Then don't be gay.
Here's why, Brian. Brian, let me explain to you why I have this problem. Because in the Black community, we have a community of men raised by single mothers. They're very effeminate. They have a large effeminate behavior. Black men are probably the most effeminate men in America. Hyper-materialistic, overly emotional. That's why I have a problem with the homosexual nature of men, because we see it so commonly within the Black community. You wouldn't know about this. I don't think you live around any Black.
I'll have you know, I'm very emotional, okay? I'm very emotional. I'm very materialistic, okay? I should know. I name drop people all the time, what I'm doing, who I'm hanging out with, what I've done, okay? I'm both those things, and I'm not gay. So there you go, pal. What do you think about that?
People don't think
you have no idea what you're talking about.
Black people.
You have no idea what you're talking about.
I think you're talking about Black people like me, but not actually Black people.
Yeah, good point too, Toasty. Yeah, don't be gay. I thought it wasn't a choice. Yeah, exactly. Did Richard Simmons wake up and decide to be gay one day? Huh? Is that what you're saying?
No idea what you're talking about.
Jamal,
I would be willing to bet I'm probably friends with more Black people than you are, and I would also say that when I
live in Detroit, buddy. I'm constantly in Detroit. I have great people that come to me are Black. A lot of my followers are Black.
Like, this dude's family's literally Black, and Brian's like, I'm probably friends with more Black people than you.
I'm sure they're very happy that you support Donald Trump. I'm sure they're very happy about that, since 80% of Black men.
Brian, because here's what it is, Brian. They don't care about that because they understand that the picture is bigger than that.
I'd love to
do you believe that voting for a candidate is like kind of defines everything about you? Like, you voted for somebody, so therefore you're a bad person because you voted for them.
I think it's part of what defines you. I think the words you use in attacking other people also defines you. And you call people the N-word constantly on your social media page.
Why are you laughing?
You call people homophobic slurs, people that you don't even know. You judge other people if they're not exactly like you. Do you have a girlfriend? Are you married?
I do. I am married, 1,000%.
Okay.
Yeah, guys, don't forget. One of these two men on the screen are married, and it's not Brian.
What's his name?
Wait, what? What? Wait. Did Brian just ask what's his name? What? Why are you being homophobic, Brian? That's despicable.
No, you judge other people if they're not exactly like you. Do you have a girlfriend? Are you married?
I do. I am married, 1,000%.
Okay, what's his name?
What's his name? Wow, Brian. Mister, I'm going to lecture you about using homophobic slurs, then goes and implies that he's gay. What? What does it matter, Brian? Oh, now it matters? Dude, this is insane. Again, these people are the worst people, and it comes out when they get upset. Like whenever they get cornered, that's when all the homophobia, all the racism, all that just comes out. Like it's all projection with them. They call us homophobes and racist and all that because that's actually what they are. They call us intolerant. That's actually what they are. That's crazy. I can't believe that. Yeah, look at Brian's stupid face. Exactly. Yeah, he's one step away from calling him the N-word. He really is. I seriously.
What's his name? Oh,
Yeah.
I'm not a homosexual.
Oh, okay.
I'm a straight man. All right. We like women over here. All right.
You might be.
We like women over here.
Oh, you're so against homosexuality. You're so against homosexuality.
Nice comeback right there.
Those self-hateful closet homosexuals. I'm trying to figure out why you're so hateful towards. What did Jesus Christ say
let me say this, Brian. There's no self-hatred here. There's a lot of pride here because when I'm looking at my community, I'm looking at this country, and I'm looking and listening to the frustration of people around my age, both men and women. There are clear and present problems that we have. So when I see someone like you, of course, I would say much older than myself, well established for yourself, great. But when you sit back and do this, well, George Floyd this, George Floyd that, and we see this from the white community so often, this suicidal empathy that comes from white individuals. This is the problem. This is a big problem that we have. Like I said, George Floyd was no saint. Trayvon Martin was no saint.
Was Ahmaud Arbery? If Ahmaud Arbery was white,
these individuals, if he was white, what?
If Ahmaud Arbery was white, do you think the same thing would have happened to Ahmaud Arbery?
1,000%. Yes. Okay, well, that's
1,000%. Are you aware of seconds after he was shot? And by the way, 2 people that were convicted of murder. Are you aware of what that white person said over the dead body of Ahmaud Arbery seconds after he shot him?
Yeah, I'm very much familiar. I really don't care. Why is it relevant?
You don't care.
How do you feel about Chud the Builder? Let me ask you this question. How do you feel about Chud the Builder?
You asked me a question. I'm going to answer
it. Brian now trying to explain how hard black people have it and how racism affects black people to a black person.
Why is it relevant? Which is insanely ignorant for you to say. When a white person shoots a black person and is charged with, and then seconds after the shooting, the first thing they do over a dead body is call that person the N-word. That is a motive that could be used as a motive and a hate crime. That's why
given the behavior of the individual, I most certainly would say the same thing.
What was the behavior of Ahmaud Arbery?
I most certainly would say the same thing.
What did he do?
I'm going to ask you this question. I already answered your question.
What law did he break?
How do you feel about Brian? I already answered your question. How do you feel about Chud the Builder? Let me ask you a question. How do you feel about Chud the Builder?
I don't know who you're talking about.
I don't know who Chud the Builder is?
I don't know who you're talking about.
You're not familiar with the Chud the Builder case? One of the biggest self-defense cases in the country right now.
What law was Ahmaud Arbery breaking? Tell me. You're making it as if he deserved it. Tell me.
No, Brian. I'm asking you this question. I already answered.
You won't answer mine. You won't answer.
You don't know about Chud the Builder.
No,
I did answer your question.
What law was Ahmaud Arbery breaking? Why won't you answer the question?
Hold on. Why is it okay? Let me ask you this. Why is it okay for the state of Tennessee to jail a man simply because he said in the past? Hold on. I'll inform you on it, and I'm sure your audience is very much aware of the case. Why is it okay for a white man to be put in jail simply because, he said the N-word on a live stream? And this is a clear-cut self-defense case where this person assaulted him, went out seeking for him.
Now I'm understanding of who that is. I didn't know who he was to begin with. This is the guy who went around calling people the N-word. That is a situation where they're claiming that it was not self-defense. That case is still, they're still gathering evidence, and we'll have to see. I will say this, though. If you're in America and you're agitating people and using hate speech, while yes, we do have something called freedom of speech in America, you are asking for trouble. Okay. And that guy wanted interaction.
So Brian, here's what you're proving, that black people, we should always sit back and say the nice words around black people. We have to speak differently around black people. You're treating me like I'm a pet, like I'm a
There is a
child,
very
more so
different.
than a
Hold
human
on,
being.
stop.
It's very
Andre, that's not
dehumanizing,
what I'm
Brian.
saying.
It's
Andre,
very dehumanizing.
Andre, that's not what I'm saying. I need you to pay attention, okay, Andre?
It is what you're
I'm not
saying, Brian.
No, it's not, Andre. Please pay attention. I'm not saying you have to always be nice to people. I'm not always nice to people, okay? But that doesn't mean I'm going to go around calling black people the N-word and videoing it to try to monetize on social media. There is a difference. Now, I'm going to ask you this.
So there you have it, guys. Brian, by Brian's own logic, if you see Brian in public and he's saying things like Charlie Kirk was a piece of shit in agitating, well, according to Brian, it's okay to assault him then. It's okay to get pissed off at him and assault him if you see him out there trying to agitate MAGA supporters. That you just said it right there. Hey, you get what's coming to you. So, well, there you go, Brian. That's what Brian says. All right. The book of Brian says so. If you go out and you're agitating people and you're saying all these things that are trying to get people riled up, well, if you get assaulted or something, hey, you get what's coming to you. There you go, people.
Same question again. I want to ask you the same question.
Hold on. I want to get back to what you. Hold on. I want to get back to what you just said, because you know what? There is a social media account which I've interacted with on my content that goes around doing the same thing that Chud does, and guess what? He doesn't get the same heat or flack Chud does. He goes around going up to white people, blocking white people from bathrooms on the plane. If you're white here, you got to give up your seat because y'all were racist to us 100 years ago. There's tons of black content creators that go out and do the same thing that Chud does. But
just as wrong. They're just as wrong.
It's just as wrong.
I think
I'll give you that. At least you're being fair.
If your only goal, black or white, is to make racist comments to people to try to make money off of social media and get into confrontations, you're an idiot and you're some of the worst that society has to offer. I'm going to go back to a question that I asked you earlier, which
I want to ask you. No, we already answered your question, Brian.
Yeah, it's just amazing though, because Brian literally goes out and agitates people. Again, he was around MAGA supporters and he was saying Charlie Kirk was a piece of shit, and he was yelling that. Okay. And so, by Brian's logic, it's okay to assault him then. And by the way, I'm not saying anybody should assault him or anything like that. I'm just telling you that according to Brian's own reasoning and logic, that's what he's saying.
What law was Ahmaud Arbery breaking? You haven't answered the question.
I've already answered your question, Brian. You want to go back to it because you think like this, like, oh, we have to talk about Ahmaud Arbery.
What law was he breaking?
Hold on. Let's go back to this because this is more important. Black people in this country get offended over the N-word. You say we shouldn't be allowed to say the N-word. You shouldn't say the N-word. Why not? You still not answered that question.
I didn't say you shouldn't be allowed to say it. As I've said before, we have something in this country called freedom of speech. I personally believe it's disgusting when you use racial slurs or homophobic slurs to attack people in a negative fashion the way you do every day on social media. I think it's repugnant and disgusting.
Why do you think I do it?
There's a difference.
Why do you think I do it?
I'll tell you why I think.
Yeah, Brian, how come you're trying to tell him what to do? Let him live his life. If he wants to say the N-word, he's not breaking the law. Why does it bother you? You're not black. Why does it bother you if he goes around saying the N-word? Brian, life is short, Brian. Okay, listen, we've all suffered loss. You suffered loss. Life is very short. Why are you trying to tell him just because you find something disgusting and repugnant? Now you have to tell him and try to tell him what to do? Brian, why are you going around trying to tell people what to do, Brian? Life is short. Let him go say the N-word. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter that you think it's repugnant. Just let him live his life.
You do it so that you can grift and make money on social media, because if you didn't do it,
I don't. Brian, let me tell you something about me, and this is something that people always say. I'm demonetized on X. All right, you see my engagement on X. Demonetized on X.
Why do you think you have a following?
X is what? Hold on. X is very, very right wing right now. You know that. I think you and I both know this. X is extremely right wing. You can say whatever you want. Instagram. I've been banned on Instagram 3 times. 2 accounts with 300K. I'm sitting at one right now that's
why do people know who you are? Why do people know who you are?
Hold on. YouTube. 61K got banned on there. TikTok 7 times banned, 25 million views each. I get banned because I call out the Black community because I want my people to be better. And I'm tired of us being treated like babies, treated like children. I'm tired of this parade of, everything that we do, no matter how minor it is an achievement. I'm tired of that because guess what? There's more within us as a people than just a puppet and a pawn politically in this country.
Andre, you would have more credibility.
And pander to.
Andre, you would have more credibility if you spoke about these issues in that way instead of using homophobic slurs and trying to defend Derek Chauvin and calling people the N-word as insults. You would have more credibility if you were, because listen,
Brian, here's what you're showing, that you have no understanding of the Black community and you have no relatability to Black people.
Guess what?
This is why Black people come up to me and they love what I do and they respect what I do.
Well, guess what? There are Black people that love what Donald Trump does. So what? There's going to be a percentage of people in every race that are idiots. I don't care.
Who cares?
So look at that judgment. So if you don't believe what I believe, you're an idiot. If you're a Black person, you supported Donald Trump, you're an idiot. Bottom line. So it's just whatever Brian believes. What Brian says is good. The book of Brian. Yeah, these Black people, well, they just get it wrong. I got it right, and they need me to explain it to them. Brian is absolutely the problem that Andrew's talking about when it comes to white people and how white people treat Blacks.
About that, Brian, no one cares about voting Democrat or Republican.
Yeah, by the way, again, who's Brian to lecture people? Again, he uses homophobic slurs, calls people mega mushroom gobblers. Doesn't he think that his message might resonate with people if he didn't call people mega mushroom gobblers and act so immature and harass people in their DMs and such? Like, I think that harassing people in their DMs is way worse than Andre here saying the N-word.
Conversation goes beyond that. That's not something that's a problem. We're talking of culture. We're talking of the mindset and behavior of people. We're not talking about the political parties that they subscribe to that can change. No one cares about that.
Why did Ahmaud Arbery deserve to be shot and killed?
Here's what I'm going to say this. I'm going to make a blanketed statement right here. The problem with Black people in the community is that when we resist police, when we're aggressive and hostile to the police, when we do this, guess what? It happens for a reason. And guess what? You know what? Here's what happens. When you F around, you find out. Ahmaud Arbery, guess what? Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, George Floyd, all these people were not the best examples of Black people. Let's talk about one. Come on, Brian, let's talk about one right here.
No,
Tyree Nichols. He was by 4 Black cops. No one said anything about him.
Stop. You just made a statement earlier. Now I'm going to educate you, Andre, okay? You made a statement about Ahmaud Arbery.
White people are going to educate me. White liberals are going to educate the Black man and the Black community.
I'm not a liberal, so you can paint me as such if you would like.
I would say you're very liberal.
Okay,
I would say you're very liberal.
I think you're a real idiot. So what? Okay. Going back to Ahmaud Arbery. Okay. And by the way, I didn't vote for. No, it's not what I say. I'm a registered independent who didn't vote for Obama or Hillary. You have no idea.
I'm not talking about the political party. I'm talking about your mindset worldview is very liberal.
My mindset is you're a very hateful individual. Now let's go back to Ahmaud Arbery. Okay. You don't know anything
hateful of what, Brian? Hateful of what?
Let me explain. I'm going to give you an example.
How am I hateful? Hold on, Brian. How am I hateful? Give me an example of how I'm hateful.
I'm going to give you an example right now. If you will just give me 30 seconds to explain. Thank you. Andre, I mentioned the Ahmaud Arbery case. Ahmaud Arbery wasn't breaking any laws that day. He was through a construction site, which, by the way, he was legally allowed to be at. He didn't steal anything. He didn't damage anything. Then he decided to take a jog that he normally took on a daily basis. As he was taking that jog, 2 white men, as I like to call them, Klansmen, followed and chased him down in a truck with guns. They pointed the guns at him. They got out of their truck. And then there was a physical confrontation because I would imagine if somebody pointed a gun at you or me in that situation, they would be very scared. He was shot and he never broke any laws. And you come here today, obviously ignorant to facts in this case, because you don't want to talk about it. And you won't tell me the law. I don't
care about it at all because it's not relevant at all. Nobody cares about that.
Of course you don't care because you don't.
Brian, the reason why I'm not talking about it is simply because guess what? I can bring up tons of examples of Black men who have been chased down and hunted down simply because they are different in the community, simply because they offer something different.
I'm talking about Ahmaud Arbery, who was part of our behavior. I asked you a question, and I said, first of all, I asked you 2 questions. I said, if Ahmaud
You
Arbery
did.
was white, would the same thing happen? You said yes, which is insane. And then number
Yes.
two,
Yes,
I
it
asked
would.
you,
It happens
I
all
asked
the time. What are you
I
talking
asked you-
about? Look
I
at
asked-
Alvaro Zaruska.
I asked you, okay, so that was a black man who slit the throat of a woman. This is a different
Yeah.
topic that I am talking about. And I asked you
You're
a very
talking about
Yeah, we don't care about that, okay? We only care about when it happens to blacks from whites, okay?
someone going to hunt down someone on the basis of their race, right?
all right. So if the black man who murdered that
Uh-huh.
woman, which was a horrible story,
Yes.
if it was
Yes, it was.
race related, if the black man over her dead body called her, I don't know, a cracker or something, I would
He
say
said,
that
"I
would be
got that
certainly
white
relevant
bitch."
to the case. This was
He said, "I got that white girl." He literally said, "I got that white girl," Brian. Brian doesn't know that?
a horrible
Brian,
story.
he did. He did. He said,
Yeah.
I got that white bee. That's what he said.
So
I
there-
got that white bee.
So here's what I
Yeah.
would say to that case. I hope he spends the rest of his life behind bars. It's a horrible tragedy and that took place, and it's terrible. It's awful, and I feel for that woman's family.
And
the
there you
fact-
go.
The
There
fact
you go.
the fact of the matter is that when you make the case that Ahmaud Arbery deserved it, right? You made the case that Ahmaud Arbery deserved
I
it.
really didn't care.
You don't
I
care.
really didn't care.
Oh, well, that
Honestly.
makes you an a-hole then. That you're just a jerk. If you, I'm sorry, dude.
How
if
am
you're
I a
just
jerk? Because I don't really care about that. Because
of
I
an
care more
innocent
about.
man
Here's
that was
why.
murdered,
Here's why I
what's
care.
wrong with you?
Here's
You're
what
a
I care
jerk.
about. Here's what I do. Here's what I care about, Brian. That the black community has more crime and more issues per capita
You
than any other
don't-
race
hold
in
on.
this
I don't
country. That's
care
a big
about your-
problem. to me.
Stop. I don't
That's
care
something
about
I care more about.
Stop. I
One
don't
case
care.
that was highlighted for the sake of
Stop.
political
Stop
nature
your
to
statistics.
sit back and say, well, this is the systematic racism. All that does
I didn't even
is
bring
push
that
black
up.
people
I
back.
didn't even bring that up. We talked about a man that was,
I
and
did.
yes, it was racially motivated. And for you to say
Okay.
about Ahmaud Arbery that, quote, you don't care, makes you a jerk. How
really
could you
don't
not
care.
care about an innocent
How is
person?
that something that I don't really care too
You don't
much about?
care
I've
about
never
it.
really cared about the case.
Because you don't know anything about the case. That's why. You know nothing about it. And
I
you're
don't have to
ignorant
care about
to
the
it, and you
case.
prove that.
By the way, I don't even know if Dude, I just love seeing Brian Spurg out. Hoop jargon for the $1.99. I'm late. Black conservative may dismantle his brain. Yeah, it's already happening. He's already breaking down. But thank you very much, Hoop jargon. But is that even true that about the whole that was racially motivated? Like, did they say something about him being black after that happened? I too don't really remember. Like, I don't remember going into the details. Like, oh, like what happened? I just vaguely heard something about the case. So I don't know much about it either. Hoop jargon for the $1.99. I'm black. I love this. Well, yeah, hoop jargon. That's what I'm talking about. Then you're going to enjoy this white guy, black splaining or white splaining, I should say, how blacks have it so hard to a black man. Quilava for the $1.99. Brian shakes so much when he yells, I'm dead. Yeah, exactly. How does Lion know the intentions of every white person has a conflict with the black person? Yeah, no, exactly. The Aubrey case was very complicated. He was hanging around a construction site that had been stolen ran from people, and struggled with the people. It's not what Brian is saying. Yeah, I'm sure it is more complicated than Brian's making it sound.
How could you, in general terms,
I don't care
let me
about
ask
the
you this.
case.
In general terms, if an innocent human being is murdered, regardless of their color of their skin, or if they're gay or straight, do you care if innocent people are murdered? Does that bother you at all?
Innocent people? Of course,
Yes.
I don't like the innocent people. I think
why
that's something that we
wouldn't
can
you
all
just
agree
say
on morally.
Well, we don't agree. You just said you don't care about Ahmaud Arbery. Why can't you just say it's a
I
tragedy?
don't have to, hold on, Brian. I don't have to care about Ahmaud Arbery in this entire conversation. That's what you're not getting. I don't have to care about him. I don't care to even talk about it. I don't give a damn. There are more pressing issues and more pressing concerns that matter more to me than Ahmaud Arbery. Like I said, when we have black men getting killed by other black men in the community for far less and far more often,
Yeah.
then we don't ever hear anything being talked about that. But you want to bring up Ahmaud Arbery to bring up like, well, white men hunted this guy down. Okay, I brought up
They
Irana
did.
Zaruska, where this black man sat back and
They're both horrible.
okay, and this
They're
is the
both
same.
horrible.
This
They're
same.
both- Here's the
this
difference
same
between
case.
you and me. Here's the difference. There's a lot of difference. Hold on, Andre. There's a lot of differences between me and you, but in this specific situation, in the context of what we're talking about, what happened to her was awful. I hope the guy that did this to her goes to jail for the rest of his life or gets the death penalty. As far as the
But Brian, I could have sworn Brian, when talking about the Irina Zarutska case, he was saying that, oh, that the black guy, he was mentally ill. He was a schizophrenic, and it was a mental illness problem was with him. I could have sworn he was saying that. Now all of a sudden he's changed his tune to where, oh, I hope he gets the death penalty. Yeah, I hope he rots in prison. I hope the worst thing happens. But I could have sworn just a few days ago, in fact, when they was talking about that case, that he said that the black guy was actually it was, I think it was when the Charlie Kirk episode, when Charlie Kirk got shot, they were talking about Irina Zarutska, and he was saying that the black guy was mentally ill. He needed to get help, and he didn't get the help that he needed because Trump took away, or the Republicans took away the Republicans took away some kind of took away something. I don't remember. Man, was it even Brian? Maybe it was Brian. I don't know. You know what? Hold off on that. I might be wrong on that. Maybe Brian didn't say that, but I could have sworn Brian did say that he was like a mental health. He had mental health issues. He was a schizophrenic.
People who did this to Ahmaud Arbery, just as awful. They committed murder. I wish they got the death penalty. Why can't you say, as I do, that I care about any innocent individual?
Let's go to the. Let's go. Hold on. So hold on. I want you to do this right now. What happened that led to that? Did they just chase him down because he was black? That was it?
So in their defense, and by the way, also double. Okay. But in their defense, what their defense attorneys were trying to say in phone calls that they had with one another.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you very much, Chichi Wawa. It was Brian talking with Don Lemon. That's what it was. Thank you very much, Chichi. See, that's the power of the Coolverse right there. That's what I got you guys here for. When my Joe Biden memory goes out.
Another is they believe that there were black people in the neighborhood that were committing crimes and stealing stuff. Okay. Ahmaud Arbery wasn't doing anything like that day. He wasn't breaking the law. And for them to chase after this guy
was the same.
I don't remember the city that it was in, but it was a very white southern city with a bunch of white folk. And by the way, here's something else, because you don't know anything.
It's common for black people to go and steal. It was common for black people to go into white areas and steal. This is something that is very glorified.
Guess what? Ahmaud Arbery, again, completely irrelevant, because Ahmaud Arbery, just because you.
How is that irrelevant? Hold on. How is that irrelevant?
I will tell you why. Just because you think that black people are committing crimes in that area doesn't mean that you can hunt down an innocent black person for doing nothing wrong that day.
Nobody said that.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm saying, Brian. Here's what I'm talking about. When we look at culturally, there's a reason for why people may have these opinions, and that's something that black people have to deal with, honestly. And we have to address these issues. That's what I'm talking about. And wasn't it, from what I remember, it was either he stole something from a construction site, or he was jogging and he was very.
Again, you're talking about a case.
Listen, this is something I've heard. Andre, remembering the case, that this is something that was notable in the case. Honestly, I really don't even care about it too much.
I know you don't care. I know you don't care.
Why should I care? Brian, tell me, why should I care about it? Tell me why I should care about it.
Yeah.
Sure. Oh, sure. I'll give you the best answer that I can. Unlike you, I don't care what the color of somebody's skin is, or their gender, or their sexuality. If
somebody's talking about color.
Brian always has to make these speeches. He always has to morally grandstand and talk about how he's so much better. Unlike you, sir, I don't care about the color of their skin. Even though, didn't he say with the Ahmaud Arbery case that it was by two white guys? And he really emphasized that. By two white guys. But I don't care about the skin color or the gender or the sexuality. I care about people. I have empathy for people. Like all these libs, dude.
If somebody's the victim of a crime, in this case, I feel for them and their families if they're an innocent person. Ahmaud Arbery was an innocent young man jogging down the street.
But Charlie Kirk was a piece of terrible guy. And his wife's a lying too.
And for you to say immediately, I don't care, makes you a moron, quite frankly, sir.
You're a moron because I don't care about the case?
No, it makes you a moron because you don't care.
Why do I have to care about it?
Because an innocent person was anytime, anywhere in society that innocent people are. It could be in Iran, it could be in Israel, it could be in Ukraine, or it can be an innocent child that is, no matter who it is.
Okay.
I don't want innocent people to lose their lives. And for you to say,
What about Gaza, Brian? What about Gaza?
Don't care makes you a jerk. And it goes fundamentally to the start of this conversation. You don't care about innocent people that are, if it doesn't fit your
I
narrative.
do. What are you talking
No,
about?
you
I
don't.
do.
You just said, do you care that
I
Ahmaud
do.
Arbery was? You don't. You've said it
No,
multiple
I don't care
times.
about the case.
Right.
I don't
Because you're a
have to care
jerk.
about the case. Just
Because
because
you're
I
a
don't,
jerk.
hold on, Brian, just because I don't care about one case you brought up doesn't mean that I don't care about
It's not
innocent
about a
people, period.
case. It's about an innocent person that was. Why can't you just say,
Okay, why
that's
do I have
horrible?
to care about that?
You
Why
don't.
do I have to care
It's
about
not
that?
that you
That's
have
the thing.
to. It's not that you have to care about it. I'm proving that you don't
Why?
have to care about anything. I'm proving the point that you're
So
someone
because
that's
I
not a
don't care
really
about
nice,
Ahmaud
you're not a good
Arbery's
person.
death, right, or his murder or whatever, that means I'm a horrible person and I don't care about
I
innocent
don't
people,
think you're a good
period.
guy.
Is that
No,
what you're saying?
I don't think you have a heart.
So why am I
Any-
not a good guy? I
Because
don't have a
you
heart
don't.
when I care about, hold on. I don't have a heart, but I talk about how black people have a problem culturally.
You make
I'm
money off
tired
that.
of being
You make
represented
money off.
poorly by black.
What do you
I
do
don't
to
make
help black
money off
people?
of that, buddy.
What do you do
I
to
don't
help
make
black
money. You know, let me tell you this.
people?
I don't make
What do you
money
do?
off.
Brian, by that line, Brian, you make fun money though doing this. You make fun money speaking about Trump, claiming you care about all the horrible things Donald Trump does. You make money doing this. Oh my gosh.
That.
What do you
What do
do
I
to help
do? I
black
serve
people?
my country. I go out in the community. I talk
I
to people.
respect your
I sit back.
service.
I pass.
And Mr. I only did the Rachel Wilson debate to make money. I don't even know anything about feminism. I don't care about feminism. I only did it for money. I'm not even a debater. I'm not even a debater. I only did it for the money. Wants to talk to Andre about he only does it for the money. So again, Brian denying Andre's experience as a black man, right? I thought that libs were big on that. Oh yeah, listen to black voices when they speak. I'm speaking now. Well, Brian, Andre is speaking now, and you're refusing to listen. You just think, oh, he's just doing this for money. Andre doesn't really, I guess, apparently, according to Brian, Andre goes through racism each and every day. He's constantly harassed by the police. He's constantly suffering racism from whites. But Andre's trying to grift and make money. So now he's going online and he's saying, no, actually, there's a problem with the black community and blah, blah, blah. And it's just for the grift, according to Brian. It can't really be that there's actual issues in the black community. And once again, Brian, you're everything that Andre is saying that you are. That you're everything that Andre is saying is wrong with whites and how they treat blacks. And how you don't help the black community. Hoop Dragon for the $4.99. Libs like him truly don't know how insulting it is for him to tell a black person how to think and feel. You ain't black if you, yeah, Joe Biden, yeah. If you don't vote for me, then you ain't black. Yeah, exactly. The libs and the Democrats, they're the most racist ones. They out racist us right-wing chuds. Thank you very much, Hoop Jargon, for the $4.99. Brian is here insinuating that he's more black than Andre. Yeah, exactly.
Stuff food to homeless people. I've done things in my community. I've done things with my family who's given stuff to my community. I've sat back and played an active role in my community. Don't sit back and say that I have not, or sit back and try to disparage anything that I've done. Here's what I'm telling you, Brian. Hold on. Brian, here's what I'm telling you. Someone like you has never been around the actual black people I talk about.
Not true.
This is why I say I don't care, because no, you really haven't. No, you really haven't. You could not walk. Let me tell you this. You could not sit back. And if I went and took you to Detroit, or took you to the south side of Chicago, or took you somewhere to Richmond, or different parts of DC and so on, the more predominantly black areas of this country, you wouldn't like it. You wouldn't like the sites. Like I have to sit back and grow up and live and watch these sites. This is the problem. There's no losing credibility.
He is speaking now, Brian.
Is very sound here.
Andre, you got to let me respond. So first of all, you defended Chud the Builder. You said you don't care about Ahmaud Arbery. You constantly call black people the N-word. You've defended George Zimmerman. You've said Trayvon Martin deserved it. And you voted for Donald Trump. Okay? You're not a serious person. And by the way, I respect
I'm not a serious person.
No,
How
you're
am I not a serious person?
Yeah, exactly. Brian, explain these things. How come believing those things make you not a serious person? Again, the condescension and how just insulting it is that basically because Andre doesn't believe what Brian thinks he should believe, he's not being a serious person. Apparently, there is only one way to think, right? Mr. Brian, life is short. Let people believe what they want to believe. If it's not hurting you, then let people do what they want. But if you don't believe the things that I believe, then you're not a serious person.
You're not.
Because of all that.
I'll tell you why. First of all, I respect your service to this country, as I would say that about anybody who risks their life for this country. I respect anybody's service to this country. That's not up for argument. But when you go on social media and you use homophobic slurs and you call people the N-word, not as a loving experiment, but you do that and you defend the indefensible. Chud the Builder, you defend a guy who literally has
made it indefensible.
He's made a living going up to black people and calling them racial slurs, and you're defending him.
So do black rappers. So do black rappers.
Oh, really?
Hold on.
Let's talk about that. You're comparing, which is such idiocy here, but I'm so glad you brought this up because I want to bring this up because this is important. You're comparing Chud the Builder, a white man, going up to black people and calling them racial slurs, to a black guy in his lyrics using the N-word, and you're comparing the two, which makes you an imbecile. I don't think you spend a lot of time.
I'm comparing the two. Yes, I do. You don't want to know why?
You do it all.
That music glorifies violence.
I think you spend a lot of time around MAGA supporters. That's what I think.
Music. Hold on. Guess what?
Like, see, Brian in his little pea brain, he just can't fathom. Like, he can't demonstrate. Like, he can't argue his point. Like, he can't explain why is it bad. He just has to insult and say, you're not a real person. But why? Can you explain, though? He's asked you several times, why are these things bad? And you just insult him. You're just like, well, it's bad because it's bad. That's why. Why is saying the N-word bad, Brian? If you're saying it's different when a rapper calls other black people the N-word and a white person calling random people on the street the N-word, you're saying, well, it's different. Well, what's different about it? Is the word bad or is it not? And if it's bad, why is it really bad when a white person does it and only kind of bad when a black person does it? Can you explain any of this? Like, has Brian ever thought about any of this stuff in his life? Or is he just going on by this programming, if you will, and the boomer memes he shares on Facebook?
No one's talking about MAGA supporters. You keep trying to bring us back to Republican, Democrat, Donald Trump. I really don't care about that, which I told you over the phone. You know, I really don't care about that. That's really like something that's far from me.
You voted for Donald Trump.
I care more about what's closest to my.
Okay, so Brian, right? Brian's an independent, even though he voted for Kamala and he voted for Biden, but he's an independent. But Andre here says, hey, like, I don't really care about that. But you voted for him. Okay, so Brian's not a lib, even though he voted for Kamala and Joe Biden. But this guy is apparently a huge MAGA supporter because he voted for Trump.
Interest in like, the person I vote for. It really doesn't matter to me at the end of the day. This whole political party garbage has brought us where in this country? Nowhere. The political parties in this country are controlled by the same elite class that screw both you and I over. And they do it every time. I really don't care about Democrat, Republican. I don't really care about Donald Trump or Joe Biden. Why do I have to care about those people?
This is something that I normally don't do.
But I want to go back to what you just said about the. I want to go back to what you said because you're trying to gloss over that. You're not going to gloss over that.
I'll give you.
Let's go back to the rappers and Chud the Builder.
I promise you, I will give you. I will allow you to do that. But I want to ask you a question first.
Okay.
Are you okay with us taking phone calls?
Oh, 1,000%, always, man.
Okay, so I'm going to give you the opportunity to respond to the rap stuff. But before I do that, I just want to give out the phone number. If you have a question or a comment to Andre, black or white, you're welcome to call.
Hey, Brian. Yeah, hey, it's me, your number one caller, Brian. Yeah, this guy is just a stupid black MAGA mushroom gobbler. White Brian? White Brian? Yeah, he's stupid. White?
Call in the number 702-221-7283. And again, the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation is 702-221-SAVE, 702-221-7283. Andre has said that he's willing to take calls. And I know there's a lot of people that want to ask you some questions, but go ahead. You wanted to talk about the rap culture. Go ahead.
Yeah, you're complaining about a white person going up and saying the N-word, asking someone like, hey, do you believe in freedom of speech? Should I be allowed to say the N-word? Which is just a word at the end of the day. We give too much power, highlighting the cultural rot within the black community, the racial double standard that exists in this country, and also the two-tier justice system that will sit back and highly charge and put pressure on white people when they make these statements, just simply on that alone, rather than like, oh, you know what, let's focus on the black criminals that are getting out for, attempted and armed robbery. But let's give the guy who said the N-word,
who's getting out on attempted murder,
$5 million bail. A lot of the people, hold on, there's tons of infographics of individuals who got out on attempted murder bail. On bail. Bail was lowered, far lower than what shut the building. Yes, there is tons of evidence on that. And I'll post it to you. I'll send it to you on Twitter.
I don't think anybody
the prime example of this, we talked about ironic Zeruska, released 14 different times. Let's talk about this. Jordan Neely released how many times? I think it was 14 different times as well, by a liberal judge, black judge as well.
Jordan Neely was found not guilty. Jordan Neely was found not guilty.
Jordan Neely was, if you want to play that way, Jordan Neely lost his life simply because in the black community, we don't value mental health. And our justice system would rather release people because they don't want to be racist by keeping people locked up.
So again, you contradict yourself.
Thank you very much, Quilava, for the $1.99. Brian getting wrecked. Get him, goons. Yeah, exactly. Get him. Exactly. Thank you very much, Quilava.
Because you care about, and by the way, I agree. There's a lot of people that need mental health in this country. You decided to vote for the party that taken away 20 million people off of Medicare coverage. Why would you vote for a party in the big and beautiful bill?
Healthcare in this country is terrible, honestly, regardless, Democrat or Republican. Obama butchered healthcare in this country. Republicans butchered healthcare. I mean, healthcare in this country underneath both parties is terrible. Okay. It's not something that is good either way.
What's the Republican healthcare plan?
Brian, you keep trying to put me in this box of like, you're the bad Republican MAGA supporter when I'm just Andrew Williams. There's a big difference.
Yeah, but you voted for Donald Trump. You voted for a Republican. What's the healthcare plan? At least
what did I tell you? Here's what I told you. The closest thing to my worldview is in power. That's all I care about.
What's Donald Trump's
Kamala Harris, hold on. Kamala Harris was a nationalist or a populist or believed in, putting America first, believed in mass deportations, I 1,000% would have voted for Kamala. Kamala actually wanted to have a conversation on reparations, which I think is disastrous for this country, and black people would not bring anything good for black people.
Shooting people, you think taking away First and Third and Fourth Amendment rights away from people is a great way to due process? Do you not care about our Constitution at all, Andre? Do you not care what it says in our Constitution?
Honestly, is just a piece of paper, honestly.
Okay, so you don't care about it.
The Constitution, let me say this to you. Hold on. You're not even let me finish. The Constitution.
Yeah, see, Brian, as soon as he says something that he deems is ridiculous, he doesn't want to listen or answer. He's just like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. Listen, you're not a serious person. See, so we're getting into dismissive mode where Brian is just going to dismiss this guy and says, well, you're not really serious. See, again, how condescending is that? Oh, you believe something that I don't believe, therefore you must not be a serious person. Everybody respects the Constitution, right? And if you don't, well, then you're not a serious person.
What we've been doing to the Constitution by both parties, they haven't done anything with it. I think the founders wanted us as a people to build upon the Constitution rather than sit back and worship it as this sacred document. And both parties do this. And this is why this country is so weak, because we've allowed our government to get weaker and weaker, and our people become misinformed and weaker, and not building a strong nation and a strong people. That's what I want. That's what I believe. I don't see any rights being taken away by certain individuals. Now, when it comes to people who are illegally here, I really couldn't care less about those people. But I'm not losing my rights underneath Trump. I don't think I would lose my rights underneath Kamala or Democrats. But yeah, go ahead.
That is where the conversation and the point that I'm trying to make. The bottom line is you don't care. You don't care about people that are being ripped away from their families, they're not having any due process.
They don't belong here. They don't belong here, Brian.
What about people that are
They're not American, Brian.
What about people that
are not American, Brian?
What about people that are walked up to on the streets asking for their paperwork with no reasonable or articulable suspicion that they've committed a crime? You're okay with that too?
Here's this. Here's the problem. Here's why I have a problem with. I have a problem that our government, both Democrat and Republican, by the way, has destabilized these people's home country and has incentivized for them to come here. They screw over hardworking Gen Z and millennial Americans at the beginning of these jobs. Hold on, I'm answering your question. Hold on. These policies also hurt black people. The first people affected by mass migration, illegal immigration, black people. These people are going into these entry-level jobs, taking away these jobs from black people. When it comes to high level, black people who are going into these professions, STEM, going into cybersecurity, whatever, they're getting their credentials in these professions. Guess these jobs being taken by Indians and Chinese people. That's what we're having. So at the low level, you have Hispanics, people coming from South and Central America, And then on a high level, you have India and Chinese people coming and taking jobs from both black and white Americans. That's a problem.
If you want to have a policy conversation with me, I would be happy to tell you that you voted for the guy that gave the biggest tax breaks to the top 1%. Most of those people are not black people.
Right. Keep doing that back and forth.
Yeah.
It's not working here, man. It's not working here.
I think it is working.
It's not working here, bro.
Kamala Harris.
I'm not MAGA, bro. I think it's been like clear and obvious that I am not a MAGA guy.
Well, you voted for Donald Trump.
You have a lot of.
If anything, I am the original MAGA movement that wanted nationalism and populism, not this, extremely Jewish neocon.
It's like, oh, you motherfucker.
Let's, go to war for Israel. Crap that we're having in this country.
Extremely Jewish. You're so ignorant. You don't even know most Jewish people are not for the Israeli government of Benjamin Netanyahu. You have no idea what you're talking about.
How do you know that, Brian? Have you asked most Jewish people? You know what? Let him black-splain Jewish people to you, Brian. Okay, since you got to white-splain, or I don't know, Jew-splain being black to him, now it's his turn to now black-splain what it means to be Jewish, Brian.
I'm not talking about most generations. I'm talking about the Jewish establishment. I'm talking about the Israeli lobby. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying every Jewish person in the entire world is.
Well, maybe you shouldn't have voted. Maybe you shouldn't have voted for the guy that's Benjamin Netanyahu's puppet that got us into war.
Why can't I vote for something that's close to my interests, right?
Yeah,
why can't I do that?
Don't complain about Israel and Iran when you voted for the guy that's.
I can complain about it as much as I can.
Yeah, well,
you're trying to, like I said, you're making this. Didn't you vote for Biden?
I did. Yeah. Did he get us into a war?
Okay, you voted for Biden. I voted for Biden. No, Biden got us almost in a war with Russia and got us involved in Ukraine. A garbage war.
Well, who was sending billions of dollars to Israel, Brian? Before Trump got in office, who was sending billions of dollars to Israel? It was Joe Biden. Joe Biden was sending billions of dollars to Ukraine and Israel for their respective wars going on there, Brian. So what are you talking about?
There we go, buddy. Let's go on that one. Got us pulled out of Afghanistan, a disaster. You know why he did that? To make it favorable for us to go into Iran and go into the Middle East. Also, hold on. Why are we going to talk about that?
It's my
Brian, why can't we talk about that?
Yeah.
You voted for Biden, and guess what? We went into Ukraine.
Are you going to stop talking? Are you going to stop talking? I'm going to respond to everything you just said because you're ignorant to facts. First of all, John Bolton, who worked in the Trump administration, said his withdrawal in Afghanistan was virtually identical. Donald Trump is the guy that negotiated, and he got 5,000 Taliban terrorists out. That's number two. Number three.
Brian, who cares about that?
Stop, you're interrupting. I'm responding to everything you just said, which is pure stupidity, okay? Almost like
go ahead.
Okay? First of all, Joe Biden did not get us into a war. He did not. Vladimir Putin is the evil, murderous dictator that invaded Ukraine, and it was Donald Trump who said he would end the war within 24 hours. Joe Biden's not perfect. It was an anti-Donald Trump vote for me, but don't you give me this nonsense when over 60 soldiers died in Afghanistan when Donald Trump was president, and I'm sure you are ignorant to those facts also. I want to take some calls right now, but before I do that, I want to go to
hold on, Brian. I was in when the 13 got killed in Afghanistan, all right, during the pullout in Kabul. So that's when I came in the military during that time. So I'll say this. Brian, I'll say this. Hold on, Brian. I mentioned that you're saying that I don't care about that. Like I said, I don't really care about the Donald Trump Republican Party stuff. But what I'm saying is that the political establishment, both left and right, has gotten us into these conflicts for their own political interests, personally, but also for the interests of Israel. We look at this at the end of the day. For the last 40 years, our country has been dictated.
Andre, let's get.
So look at this super chat right here. This dude is a self-hating POS and a traitor to his own kind. Wow. Traitor to what's his kind? A traitor to his own kind. Why don't you stick with your own kind, boy? Benedict Arnold, tap dancing Sambo? We don't claim him, Brian, at all. Oh, okay. All right. See, there you go. This is from a black person. Yeah, I highly doubt that. But even if this person really is a black person, because, I know there are a lot of blacks that say that. But imagine if a white person was saying that, Brian, you're a traitor to your own kind. Brian would say, you're a huge racist, sir. How dare you? But I'm pretty sure he's not going to call this black guy a racist for saying something like that. He's a traitor to his own kind. Yeah, you're right. He is a traitor to his own kind. Shadow Fox for the $2 hick accent. Protect mess. Bergverse. Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much, Shadow Fox. Ken, for the Canadian to his kind. What do you mean by that? Exactly. Thank you very much, Ken. Yeah, for an independent, Brian sure seems to hate a guy who says he doesn't care about groups, just policy. Yeah, that's what I said earlier. For a guy who claims to be independent, whenever he has a guy on who isn't independent, he somehow fights with them. He still fights with the other independents. But I thought Brian was an independent. Shouldn't he be fitting right in, agreeing with this guy, talking about both sides? But no, he's always defending the Democrats and always shitting on the Republicans and specifically Trump. It's kind of weird, right? What the f is Sambo? Yeah, I don't know what a Sambo is either.
Andre, let's just give people a chance to call in, and let me just read some of the super chats. You're not going to like some of them, but I'm going to read some of them. Cal.
Yeah. Not only do I have my callers here, but I got my fans in the chat now to super chat me.
Poker says, this dude is a self-hating POS and a traitor to his own kind. Benedict Arnold tap dancing. We don't claim him, Brian, at all. An immortal suspect says, speaking as a black man, I will say Andre is a disgrace to the black community. You, Andre, do not speak for us. You're as bad as Charlie Kirk was. Minnesota Vet says, Brian, ask Andre if behind his U.S. flag, there's a Confederate flag. Okay, well, I'll ask him. Is there a Confederate flag behind that?
He should have been like, no, I'm not a Democrat.
Why did we lose audio? Did we lose Andre's audio?
No, I'm still here.
Oh, okay. I thought we lost your. Okay, well, there's no Confederate flag behind there. That's one positive note. All right, let's take some phone calls. Andre said he would stick around and take some calls, so this should be interesting. And who knows, Andre? Maybe there'll be people out there that disagree with me.
Yes, I'm waiting, Brian. Let me at him, Brian. Let me at him. Well, here we go. Let's see how Andre does against Brian's intelligent callers.
Are we going in order here? Let's start off with Andy. He's calling out of Florida. Andy, you're on with Andre. Go ahead.
Oh, hey, Andre, I got a quick question for you. So I can't remember when this happened, but it happened in Texas one time. There was two white guys that grabbed the black guy and drugged him from their pickup. Now, what if that was a black guy did it to a white guy? Huh? What? You know, Eric.
Dude, this guy sounds like the impression that I do. Yeah. Tell me if it was done to a white guy, Andre, huh? Tell me now. Huh, Brian? Huh? He's a stupid mega mushroom gobbler, huh?
Black guy did it to a white guy. I can see that all the time, dude. That happens a lot. Black people attack. Saturday night. Hold on, Saturday night in downtown Detroit. I watched a bunch of black people jump on a white dude because they thought he said the N-word. So that happened, and nobody did anything about it. Police weren't called, nothing. We sat there and watched. There's video out there. I've seen where they're. Hold on, if you're a white kid going to a black school, you're going to be picked on. But I watched that growing up in predominantly black schools.
Okay, all right. So why is it okay? Why is it okay for a black man to call another black man the N-word, but it ain't okay for a white man to call another black man the N-word? Huh?
Why should I care if a white person says the N-word? Why am I going to give this word this much power? This is the problem that black people.
Dude, this isn't real life, dude. Seriously, is this? This isn't real life. Like, no way. No way.
Don't have any self-control, and we get overly emotional over the word. And I think that we have more. I think we're more than that, better than that.
Well, guess what? I think there are certain words, while it is not against the law to use, I think they're extremely hurtful rhetoric. And I'm amazed that you think it's okay. But let's go to Jeff. He's calling out of South Carolina.
Right. If I can ask you a quick question. If somebody called you the C word, right, called you something, a white racial slur, how would you respond?
I would call you despicable. I would say you're disgusting. I would say you're horrible. You're horrible for using that sort of language. I think it's beneath human decency. We can call people names. People call me names all the time. But I think when you attack somebody based on race or religion or sexuality, I think it's absolutely repugnant and despicable.
Why?
And when people make a living across America making videos to try to agitate people by calling black people the N-word, a person that you seem to be defending, I think it's wrong. I think it's horrible. And I think that man is where he belongs, behind bars, because he's a piece of human scum. That's what I think. And you defend that.
Well, let me ask you this question. Hold on. Yeah, I do defend it. Why? Because it's a double standard in this country, and I hate that my people.
There's no double standard.
But Brian, can you just please explain why? Why is it wrong to attack someone for their race or their gender or their sexuality? Why is it wrong, Brian? He's never answered that. Does he even know? Mercenary, thank you very much for being a member for 3 months. I think Vic does all the Collins O'Brien show now. Are you both in on it together? You know, dude, I wouldn't blame you for thinking that, because that caller sounded just like the impression I do. I really wouldn't blame you for thinking that, Mercenary. Oh boy.
Black person
There's
did
a
the
double
same thing.
standard.
No, you're wrong. I already answered
How am I
this.
wrong?
You asked me the question. I said if there's
I
a black
didn't
person,
say that you. I said that there is a double standard in this country when it comes to the word,
well,
and I hate that we're giving power to this word. That's what I just said.
I
You
think we
clearly
should
didn't
call
listen
out
to that, Brian.
who we going to next. Let's go to Jeff. He's calling out of South Carolina. Go ahead, Jeff. You're on with Andre. Go right ahead.
Hey, Brian. Hey, Andre.
What's up? How you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Andre, don't you just feel so much better in life that you have Brian here, the white knight, to save the black community?
Pod this idiot down. First of all, I'm not a white knight. I never said I was saving any community, you idiot. Okay, that's not what I said. All I've simply said for the most part in this conversation is I disagree with Andre's assessment that somehow George Floyd died from based on the evidence. I've also said that I think when people use terms like the N-word or homophobic slurs, which Andre called me, not knowing anything really about me, I think that's also wrong. I've never said that I was a white knight, but good luck at your Klan rally tonight. Let's go to David. He's calling out.
Brian, hold on. I think that was a fair caller. Hold on, that was a fair caller for me. We couldn't listen to him and let him hear what he had to say.
I bet you do think. Did I say ever in this conversation that I was a white knight for black people?
By the way, he just wanted to give his comment. He gave his comment to you. You said you were willing to have people come up who will disagree with you as well.
Andre, did I say, Brian? Andre, did I say anything in this conversation to lead you to believe that I'm
Brian? I said, and what he was saying to me was, isn't it nice to have this white knighting of the black community as a black? That's what you're doing, Brian. This is what you're doing.
You're wrong.
You're not even getting the funny part about this, Brian, is you're not seeing the entire big picture of why I said what I said to you.
No, I am.
You sat back and you just told me that, okay, if someone called me a racial slur, I would respond in a positive way. Now, my next question is, should black people respond with violence when they hear a word? You think it's
never have I, Andre? I'm going to answer your question. It's a stupid question, but I will still answer it. I have said consistently in every single situation that no matter what somebody says to you, you should never react in a violent way, whether you're black or you're white. I've also said from the beginning, no matter what the color of your skin is, or your religion, or your gender or sexuality, I group all of that into one and say, I don't think we should be hating on people for those reasons.
But why, Brian? Why? Why is that so bad? Why shouldn't we do that?
Not a white knight for one specific group or culture. I believe that people who judge other people like the way you do because of sexuality or color of skin makes you an idiot. That's my opinion. Let's go to David, who calls out of Michigan. Hello, David.
Hey, Brian, longtime listener, first-time caller.
Thank you, David.
And I really appreciate your passion, as you put it. I would put it as bombasticness. I probably disagree with you about 75% of the time, but I can appreciate the ferocity with which you attack certain issues.
Okay, I appreciate that. Did you have a question for Andre?
Andre, I have a question. So Brian has accused you of voting for a 34-count felon multiple times. I haven't
accused him. He has voted for Donald Trump. So I don't know what you mean by accusation. Andre would self-admitting he voted for Donald Trump. So what do you mean accused?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah, I did call. I did vote for Donald Trump. But go ahead. Go ahead with your question, caller.
With New York only, with New York, how do I want to word this? It is a state where defrauding court records is only a misdemeanor. So can you ask Brian for me, what is the underlying charge that brought those falsifications of court records up to a felony?
Why can't you ask me the question? Why are you asking Andre to ask me the question? That's very bizarre, sir. Ask me the question you want to ask.
Well, you asked if I had a question. If I had a question.
Yeah, that would mean. That's not a question. That means you want him to repeat your question. So I can understand now why you disagree with me 75% of the time. Ask me a question, sir, and I will answer it directly. Go.
All right. Here's another question, and this is a hypothetical. Do you believe that the 1-year anniversary of Charlie Kirk's assassination will have any effect on the midterms?
No, I don't. You know what I think will have an effect on the midterms? the war in Iran, the economy, the fact that gas prices are $4.60 a gallon, the fact that private sector job growth is abysmal, the fact that he gave the biggest tax break to the top 1% and he wants to make millionaires out of January 6th insurrectionists. That's going to take far bigger toll on the midterms than the
January
war
6th was based.
to Charlie Kirk. Thank you for the call.
January 6th was pretty base, dude. That was pretty base. If only we got what we wanted. If only we got what we wanted in that moment. But we didn't, because we have a
Brian's face palming because he called January 6th based. Thank you very much, Mouth Breather, for the $5. Didn't Brian literally say earlier that if you are attacked for using the N-word toward black people, that it's your fault, though? Yeah, he did. He really did. Thank you very much, Mouth Breather. Yeah, he's just ridiculous. But I like how this is backfiring. And notice how, like, the intelligent sounding callers, the ones that sound like they have a triple digit IQ, like they're the ones that are agreeing with Andrew, and then, or Andre, I should say. And the ones that, you know, talk like this, hi Brian, are the ones that agree with Brian. Coincidence? I think not.
Country of
are you
people
trolling me?
Or
are you being serious? Are you just trolling me? You just said January 6th was based. You think police officers being beaten with their own batons while they chant "Hang Mike Pence" and storm the Capitol?
BLM. It happened during the Summer of Love.
I'm not asking you about BLM. I'm not asking you about BLM. I'm happy to talk to you about BLM. You just said, wait, stop. You just said January 6th was based. We can talk about BLM afterwards. What do you think is based, or in that logic, good, because that's really what based is, good, about beating police officers with their own batons? What do you think is good about defecating on desks, storming the Capitol?
People were really serious about, you know, they felt this way about, and this is why I criticize these people so much. I mean, if you were really serious about, you know, the election was overturned and, you know, you feel like you were wrong, then don't sit there and, you know, half do it. You know, don't sit back and go half baked. If you're really serious about doing this illegal stuff or doing that,
Andre, who won the 2020 election?
You get caught.
That's Andre, who won a free and fair election? Andre, who won a free and fair election?
Votes and given it's in the history books, and of course it is Joe Biden. I disagree. I think that it was not the. Okay, hold on. Here's what let me explain. When it comes to the 2020 election, I don't think it was a fair election. Just like I don't think the 2000 election with George Bush was a fair election. I feel that both candidates, both George Bush and Joe Biden, were necessary to be empowered to oversee certain things that happened during the country at that time.
Let me be very clear here. Feelings don't matter. Okay, where is your evidence of widespread?
You asked me my opinion.
Okay, to come up with an opinion, usually it would be nice if people could come up with some facts to base their opinion of. For example, if you say that the earth is flat, I would say, well, here's my reasoning as to why it's not, but please give me the geographical evidence.
That's a little bit out of this world to believe.
Give me any evidence. Yeah. It's out of this world to believe that the 2020 election is stolen, because there's no evidence of widespread voter fraud unless you could give it to us right now.
Here's what I'm saying is I would say that the cultural impact on the elections, given the COVID, how terribly the
that doesn't mean it was rigged. That doesn't mean it was rigged.
Hold on. Stop. You're not even listening to what I'm saying.
I am.
Yeah, exactly. The opinion of the people was swayed based on these events. I would say even.
By the way, almost less than 4 minutes to go to complete that super chat goal, guys.
With BLM, the riots with George Floyd, that also swayed black people to come out and vote.
All right, but hold on. Let's go backwards. All right,
like I said, I gave you two examples. Hold on, I gave you two examples.
You don't have any. That's not evidence of widespread voter fraud.
Brian, I gave you two examples. Stop. I didn't say anything about voter fraud at all. I didn't say anything about voter fraud.
The election was stolen.
I didn't say anything about voter. I didn't say that. I said it's Joe Biden. I believe that the election was swayed in this direction based on these political events that happened in the country. I gave another example that you didn't even let me go into. The 2000 election with George Bush. I gave you two examples from both the right and the left of two elections that I feel that were swayed in the election based on certain events. What are you talking about, Brian?
Andre, the people that were there on January.
Thank you very much, Bobby Ballbags, for the $4.99. Vic calling into the Bagel Man show using the voice fund. All right, well, there you go. Maybe I will. Thank you very much, Bobby.
January 6th were not there because they thought the election was swayed because of certain events that took place. They were there because they believed what Donald Trump said.
They believed the election was stolen. Yes, they believed it. Guess what I said? Brian,
And
hold on,
Andre,
Brian. Listen
that's
to what
not-
I just said.
I listened to what you
Brian,
just said. You
listen
talked
to
about
what I
voter-
just
that's not
said.
evidence.
You didn't listen to what I just
Yes,
said.
I
You
did.
decided to
Yes,
go
I
on and
did.
said I said something about voter
Okay.
fraud. I
All
never
right,
said
hold on.
anything about
Let me
voter
get back.
fraud
Let me get
at
back to
all.
the calls.
The
but let me
caller
just-
said something about voter fraud.
let me
I
just-
never said anything
All
about
right,
voter
so I
fraud.
want to
at
get
all.
back to the calls because we're running out of time, but I just want to be clear.
I don't
on
know why
something.
Brian doesn't want to listen, but okay.
No, I've listened to you, and it's a bunch of nonsense. So what
No,
Andre
you have not
just
listened
said,
at all, Brian.
there are Capitol police officers that have traumatic brain injury.
All I
Brian,
said was
let me
based. That's
finish.
all I said.
Let
Like it was
me-
based.
Please let me finish. Brian Sitnick died the next day. 140 officers were injured. Other people died that day. There is nothing based about a bunch of violent
How do you
insurrectionists.
feel about the BLM riots?
I will get to that in a second. Let me finish talking about
been a minute.
this, okay?
More than
It
second,
has been a
Brian.
minute, and you won't retract what you said. You think it's based that a bunch of cops were
I
injured.
just said it was
and
based.
people
That's it.
died that
I
day.
can't
That
say
makes
it's
you a
based.
fool. That makes you a fool.
I think
And
the
here's-
Russian Revolution was
Here's
based.
the difference between Black
I
Lives
think the
Matter.
the
You
March on
mentioned-
Rome was
you
based.
mentioned- you mentioned Black Lives Matter. I'm going to mention this, and then we'll get to some calls. While I don't condone any violence, whether it be at a Black Lives Matter protest or January 6th, here's what I will say: the fundamental big difference is
Oh, here we go.
there were tens of millions of
Why
people
is it
that
different?
marched during Black Lives Matter protests. Many of those people, they wanted equality.
Oh yeah, see, there you go. That's what the left thinks. It's different because they did it for good reasons. You know, those mega mushroom gobblers, they did it for stupid and bad reasons. They did it because they're pieces of shit. The BLM protesters, they did it for good reasons. So that's all it is. It's just, they did it for good reasons. They did it for the reasons that I think is good. Therefore, that's why that's better than January 6th. See, I don't like Donald Trump or MAGA supporters. Therefore, they're pieces of shit, and what they did was terrible. But I really love BLM, and I love George Floyd and black people, except for you. And therefore, what they did was good. They wanted equality. So, okay, marching for equality, good. Marching, going to protest because you think an election is being stolen, regardless if it's actually true or not. If we all felt, by the way, what BLM believed wasn't true either. There's not white supremacy. Cops aren't just black people. That's also lies. But regardless, whether or not if the election really was stolen or not, we believed that, right? And isn't it good to protest or fight against a tyrannical government that's trying to steal an election from you? Isn't that what like the Second Amendment's all about? You know, I'm not saying, they should have taken guns at all. There were no one took guns over there and used them. It was not an armed militia or anything like that. But what I'm just trying to say is that wouldn't you say is a good reason? Like both sides felt like they were fighting against a system, a broken system, right? Something was being stolen. There is an injustice. But when these liberals like Brian Shapiro, these far left liberals who likes to get laughed off the stage, Brian Shapiro says, pretty much they tell us this. What they're saying is, well, they were fighting for good reasons. You were fighting for bad reasons because we just don't like you. We like this. We don't like that. That's all they're saying. The A game, thank you very much for the $5. I called this fool 3 times, 3 different voices. He went nuts. His veins were ripping out his pencil neck. That's freaking hilarious. Were you the guy that was talking like this? Thank you very much, A game. And also, thank you very much, Taylora, for the $5. Brian always says he's happy to talk about X, then refuses to ever talk about those subjects that aren't Trump. Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much, Taylora. Doesn't look like we made the goal, but don't worry. I will restart it. And I'll restart it for all colors. So there you go. It doesn't have to be 5 and up anymore.
At the January
Equality. We already have equality.
Let me finish. A bunch
White
of
people
idiots,
today.
a bunch of idiots, maybe people like you, were there on January 6th because they thought the election was stolen, which, by the way, it wasn't, and there's no evidence to prove that. Okay, that's the difference. Now let's get back to the phone calls.
Notice how Brian didn't call him racist when he said white people today. Notice Brian didn't say anything. He didn't go, well, that was racist. Notice that? Crazy. This white knight for blacks. The A game. Thank you very much for the 2. Yep, that was me. That's hilarious. A game. That's funny because they knew it. They're like, oh yeah, this guy's obviously doing a voice. The good stuff. A game.
At
So they're
7:02.
not. Hold on. Let's get into the BLM thing because you said this like, oh, they march. Okay, BLM was started how? Started on these lies that there's systemic racism in this country currently today.
Yeah,
that there's police brutality everywhere. That there's no equality. That black people cannot get by because we're still living underneath the effects of Jim Crow. This is the problem. This is what I'm talking about. So I would say that both. If you're going to say, hold on, stop. If you're going to sit back and bring up,
it was.
If you're going to sit back and
that was what it was about.
Say, well, I don't like January 6th, and there was no evidence of that. Voter fraud. Well, there's no evidence of systemic racism in this country that holds me back, that gives you more rights than it does, that gives you more rights being white than it does me being black. So what are you talking about, dude? BLM, they burn down cities. BLM, hold on, Brian, BLM, these people burn down black cities. They burn down our own areas. People went in the community and
right there. Andre,
black businesses got shut down. Black communities. Hold on, stop. I'm explaining this. You're not even letting me explain.
I understand that there was violence.
You're not letting me explain.
Andre?
Yeah, let me go.
You don't need to explain what happened during. No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not going to let you do a filibuster.
So BLM, like I said, we can both agree. Andre. Right? That both events were terrible. Can we do that? I think it was based. I think it was like, okay, that's kind of like you guys are going to do that. Kind of cool.
So anybody who thinks it's cool to beat police officers makes you a fool, and it makes you an imbecile.
They did it during. They did it during BLM.
Yeah. I just said. Okay, I'm going to try to calm down here because you are a really difficult person to talk to. Okay, please don't interrupt me. I'm going to repeat myself once again, so please be quiet.
Go ahead.
Anybody who commits a violent act.
See, he'll say this again, like anybody. I don't condone it. That's bad. But then he'll go and justify it saying, yeah, but they were fighting for equality. So it's okay. So they were fighting for equality. So good reasons, bad reasons.
Whether it Black Lives Matter or January 6th, I would never call and use your stupid 24-year-old terminology. Oh, it's really cool and based. When on January 6th, there were cops that were beaten. Okay. They have traumatic brain injury. You dope. And the fact that you would call
there were cops that were beaten during the BLM riots as well.
And I called that out too, you idiot. Why can't
you said, hold on, you said, here's what you said. It's about equality. So it matters. Like one is noble because it's about equality.
Yeah.
Andre,
was that?
You're not listening. So
I think we heard it.
Andre,
I think we heard it, Brian.
I don't think you hear
beating cops if they're black. You know, black people can beat cops, but if you're white doing it, it's like, nah, that's bad. That's not bad.
Yeah.
Stop talking. Otherwise, this interview's over. I have full phone lines. I have a lot of people that want to talk to you. Stop interrupting me. Never have I ever said, you dope, that if you're a black person and you beat a cop, that's justified in any way, shape, or form. You are an effing liar is what you are. You don't listen to me. You're making the case that somehow I'm defending at any point any violence. Here's something I would never do. And by the way, I would never defend any violence, which I've now said 5 times, but you're the idiot that doesn't want to listen to me.
He does defend violence. So he always says, I don't defend violence, but he does. He literally gave a platform to the family that assaulted Savannah Hernandez and defended them, saying that it was self-defense. He didn't push back on them whatsoever. He allowed them all the time to defend themselves. He does condone the violence. He does. He just says he doesn't because he knows he has to, because he knows how it makes him look. But he does condone the violence when it's done to right wingers, though. If it's done to anything that he agrees with, then he does. He's fine with it. But if it goes against something he disagrees with it, that's when he really disavows it. That's when he's really against the violence. You know, with Charlie Kirk too, he'll say he disavows it, but he'll repeatedly call Charlie Kirk a bad guy, a racist, a horrible human being, called him a piece of shit. And then the day that he got shot, he was more worried about the retribution that was going to come toward liberals more than the guy who was actually in the hospital losing his life.
Okay. What I did say is there are tens of millions of people that were not violent, that marched, that wanted equality. The people that were there on January 6th believed in the big lie, just like you do, because you're not a very intelligent person.
The BLM people believed in the big lie too. They believed that we were living in a white supremacist country. And what equality, Brian? What rights were they fighting for that blacks didn't have? What rights did white people have that blacks didn't, that they were fighting for, Brian? Name one. They also believed, listen, they believed in a big lie.
that the election was
Many of
stolen.
them,
And the left was actually lying to them. Okay. Donald Trump really believes that the election was stolen. Why do you think he's still looking into it? If he was lying and didn't really believe it, he wouldn't care anymore. He'd be like, well, I won, so who cares? But the fact that he's still looking into it shows that he really believes that the election was stolen. We all believe that the election was stolen.
weren't violent as well.
I'm going to go
There
back.
were not a lot of people who were
I'm
violent
going
as
to go
well.
back to the calls, but don't you
Can
ever
we both
say
agree?
that. Don't you ever
Can
say that.
we both agree that there were people who are violent at both events, right?
I've
Were there
never
people
said otherwise.
violent during the BLM riot?
Did Joe Biden pardon any of the people that beat
Hold on,
cops
hold
during
on.
Black Lives Matter protests? Answer that
Here's the thing,
question.
a lot of
now.
cops. Hold on. A lot of people did get off. A lot of people did get off.
Oh,
A lot
really?
of people went
Who
out
got a
prosecuted. The
pardon for
cops
Joe
went out
Biden?
doing their
Who
job
got
at
a
the
pardon
time.
for Joe
A lot
Biden?
of businesses got
Hey,
burned
Andre,
down.
stop
I
talking.
mean, come on, dude.
Andre, name
You're
me
like,
one
well, the
person.
president pardoned
Andre,
these people.
Andre,
I'm like, dude.
Andre,
Okay,
1,500 people
that's
got
what the
pardoned.
president can do.
Andre,
Yeah, he
1,500
did.
people. Andre,
I've met some of them, not the best
Andre,
people. A lot of the
Andre,
J6ers are losers,
yeah, I'm
honestly.
sure.
A lot of
Andre,
J6ers are losers.
Andre, I'm going to say one more thing. Please don't interrupt because I
Go
want to
ahead.
get back to the calls. There were 1,500
course.
people that were convicted of crimes on January 6th. Half of those people, violent crimes. Guess what Donald Trump did? He pardoned them all. If you could name me one pardon that Joe Biden gave of anybody who committed a violent crime during Black Lives Matter protests, let me know. They didn't. You don't know what you're talking about. Let's go to Andrew.
Yeah, but they excused it. The media lied and excused it. They called it fiery. They treated January 6th as if it was 9/11 Part 2, Electric Boogaloo. But the BLM riots, they literally called it's fiery but mostly peaceful. They're fighting for equality. But listen, it was like 93% protests, and the rest of it was burning down buildings and the violent stuff. You know, like they minimized and downplayed all the horrific things that went down with the BLM riots and justified it. But January 6th, they actually made it sound worse than it really was. You know, and that's the thing. They didn't treat both cases equally. They didn't treat them both as horrific. They downplayed one and they upplayed the other one. Thank you very much, JJ Matt, for the $10. 6 cops were shot in BLM in Dallas. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, cops actually died because of the BLM riots. And Kamala Harris was promoting a bail fund. Wilson fan, thank you very much for the Canadian Fiver. Haha, where did Andre come from? He's freaking awesome, driving Bryce Shep crazy. Great stream. Yeah, I agree. Andre is awesome.
I didn't want to say Joe Biden did at all. I didn't say Joe Biden. No one cares about Joe Biden to Donald Trump did.
I know you
You're not
don't
understanding
care.
the two
I know
events.
you don't care if it doesn't.
No, because they don't matter. They're not relevant to the conversation at all.
Andrew's calling out of Rhode Island. Hi, Andrew. You're on. Go ahead. You're on with Andre. Go ahead.
Hey guys, how are we doing today?
What's up?
So I've listened to this whole thing, and the biggest thing I've noticed is I hear one person talking about culture and one person talking about race. Andre talks about culture. He talks about a movement in a community, and Brian talks about race. Like race defines who you are.
When did I say?
I love that Brian's master plan is backfiring on him. Yeah, get him, callers. I'm going to send my goons after you, Andre. All right, pot this guy up. What do you have to say, caller? Yeah, Brian, don't you get sick of being a white knight for the white people? All right, you know what? Pot him down. You know, he's an idiot. He's a jack. Pot him down. Pot him back down. I'm not a white knight. Fine, we're going to go to this caller now.
Race defines who you are. What the hell are you talking about, Andrew? What are you
It's a
talking
base caller.
Yeah, I know. The guy who thinks I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Hold on one second. I'm not surprised that the guy who thinks, quote, January 6th was based is also the same clown who thinks Andrew is based. But go ahead, Andrew.
Andrew's based,
It's tough. It's tough to listen to this because
good. It's tough
Andre
to listen
talks
to.
about a community
Get
where
rid of
he's
Andrew.
probably
If you think it's tough to listen to, then get the hell off my show because we got a lot of other people that are listening to it. Let's go to who are we going to next? Ava, who's calling out of Wisconsin. I thought it was tough listening to you, Andrew. Have a nice day. Take a hike. Trump mushroom gobbler.
Trump mushroom gobbler. Trigger over the word based. Yeah, he is. I got to make sure to put that in my YouTube title. Super based Andre Williams completely owns and destroys white knight Brian Shapiro. That should be pretty good. And I bet you Brian's going to start saying that word now, based. Now I bet you in his next few debates, he's going to start saying based. Ken for the Canadian Fiver, violent. Weren't a lot of J6ers wrongfully incarcerated? hence the pardons. Some Jake Sixer were violent for sure, but not all of them. Am I wrong? Again, because it's 100 people, so I don't know all the cases. Yes, there was a lot of people that did commit violence that are arrested and pardoned, but there was a lot that didn't. And a lot of them they weren't overcharged, but they would stack charges. So they would take different charges and stack them. So a lot of them were serving times longer than typically what a person doing the same crime would, you know. So let's say if someone for vandalism gets only like the longest sentence is like 3 years or something, they would get charged for vandalism, which was like 3 years, but then they would stack up a bunch of charges on it to make it longer, like to 8, 9, 10, 12 years. So absolutely, they were made an example of, Ken. But thank you very much for the $5. Yeah, Sixer spent a long time in jail. It wasn't over. Yeah, exactly.
Alert. Let's go to Ava from Wisconsin. Hello, Ava.
Yeah. Hi there. I have a question for your guest, Andre.
Yes.
Okay. First of all, my parents emigrated to the United States post World War II Germany.
Dude, Andre's reaction was just mine inside now. You know, whenever it's a woman calling and they start off with, my parents emigrated here from this country, it's like,
For your guest, Andre?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, my parents emigrated to the United States post World War II Germany. And when I heard you say the Constitution is just a piece of paper, I about fell over, because I don't agree with most of what you say, but you're allowed to say it because of freedom of speech and freedom of religion. And I think you need to be a little bit more, grateful to be part of this country instead of dismissing our most important document.
I am, ma'am. I 1,000%. I am 1,000% grateful of this country. That's why I tell Black people who sit back and say they hate this country. I'm like, you can be in Africa right now with nothing. I'm in America with everything.
well, I wish you'd go back there. Oops. I didn't say that. Quilava, thank you very much for $4.99. Based Andre Williams shuts down white knight far leftist Brian Shapiro. I like that. I think I'll go with that one. Thank you very much for the $4.99, brother.
And we do nothing with everything that we have. So that's my entire message. So no, when I say that the Constitution is a piece of paper, what I'm saying is that this piece of paper, we should do something with it and not just sit back and worship it like it's this holy document. What are we doing now? We've allowed both parties to trample over the Constitution. Yeah. We've allowed big business to screw over our country and to do whatever they want. We don't have companies that are loyal to the nation. We don't have people who are loyal to our nation. So that's what I'm talking about.
Based. That's why he's based, Brian.
Your family immigrated over here post-World War II. I mean, I would say, given the generations, you're an American. I think it takes 3 or 4 generations to make an American. So, I mean, I really don't have a problem with you or, your family's immigration history. I do have a problem with people who've come here post-2000, since 2001. Right, I would really say 1965, but yeah.
Let's move on to some other callers. I appreciate your call, my dear. Thank you. Let's go to Darlene, who's calling out of Oklahoma.
Brian's relieved. This is the mega destroyer that always calls in Darlene. And he's like, oh, thank God. Thank God, Darlene's here. Yes, finally. Whew. Get him, Darlene. Destroy this mega mushroom gobbler.
Darlene has something to say to Andre. Hello, Darlene.
Hi, Brian.
Hey.
Andre, listen, I want to know how old you are. How old are you?
25.
How old?
25, he said.
25? Mm-hmm. Well, I'm 65, and you're going to respect your elder, or I will have you potted down. Now, you're going to listen to me,
Boomer.
too.
Listen, Boomer, we don't respect boomers or Gen Xers. I'll tell you that right now. I don't respect white boomers or black Gen Xers. There's two people I have no respect for because you've ruined this country, honestly. Your generation is ruined it.
That's all you are. And you need to shut the hell up. Because let me tell you what your problem is. You are scared. You don't want to be black because you want to be white, and you're never going to be white. You are just doing this because you want the white people not to beat the out of you. That's all this is. And like I said, you're a
Grandma, I can't even hear what you're saying. I'm sorry.
Dream. That's what you are. And no, you shut up. You're not going to sit there and talk to Brian like that because he was respecting you. And I'm going to tell you right now, he would already had good.
I can't even understand what she's saying. What is Darlene Perkins saying?
It's okay, Darlene. I lost respect for him the second I saw his tweet when he called me a homophobic slur, but I still gave him the opportunity to come on the show. Let's take a few other callers.
You can't take a joke, buddy. Come on now.
No, I don't think it's funny calling people homophobic slurs.
Why is it not funny?
Because
Yeah, Mr. Mushroom Gobbler doesn't think it's funny using homophobic slurs.
You grew up in the 2000s with comedy, right? You know, remember when comedy was great? You could say whatever you want.
You're not a comedian. I just think you're an idiot on social media. Let's go to Richard.
How am I an idiot?
Who am I going?
Okay, so that's the rule now. So only a comedian could use homophobic slurs then? So a comedian could go out there and say the F slur all he wants, and Brian's going to be okay with it then, I guess. Is that in the book of Brian now? And then if Brian's spurking out on a show about how a comedian said the N-word or F slur or something like that, is Brian going to be like, oh, it's okay, he's a comedian? I highly doubt that. Highly doubt that.
Brian, Richard, you haven't been able to tell me how I'm an idiot on social media when I talk about how the black community is failing.
Yeah, that's not. You can talk about the black community failing, but when you start calling and hurling out the N-word to black people you don't like, and when you call people homophobic,
that's what I do.
Slurs, well, I think that makes you an
we do. Absolutely. Here's the thing, Brian, that you don't understand. That's what we do every day, Brian. That's the thing that you don't understand. That's why my content's so relatable. That's what we do every day.
First of all, I can tell you right now, I probably know more black people than you do, and they would say they don't go on social media.
I have more black friends than you do.
I don't believe that.
Okay,
I don't believe that. I think you got a lot of white MAGA friends. That's what I think. Let's go to who are we going to next?
No, I don't. A lot of people I know are black, and I hang out with a lot of black people in Detroit. People I see on the street, and they love what I do.
Yeah, I'm sure they love. I'm sure they love what you're defending the people who. Black people, yeah, I'm sure they do. Let's go to Richard.
They understand what I'm talking about because they understand the culture and what's going on in the community. You don't. Brian.
I'm sure defending Derek Chauvin is very popular within the black community. Let's go to Richard.
Derek Chauvin, it is. Honestly, it is. Yeah, when we're looking at George Floyd, I know a lot of black people that don't have any respect for George Floyd. They don't have any respect for George Floyd.
Richard, hold on, Andre. Let me just get this point out to you, young man. How you doing today? Everybody's fine, right?
Brian's like, yeah, black guy that agrees with me. Finally, I'm going to throw out my, summon black guy. Defend me. Defend me, boy.
What I have to say is this right here. I think you're perpetuating this false narrative about black people. And let me tell you why. I'm assuming that you probably watch a lot of television. You get a lot of your information off TV, and you probably also do your history.
I actually don't. I actually don't get anything from TV, but no.
I'm sorry. I mean to cut you off. Excuse me. There's no such thing as, you haven't said it, but there's no such thing as black on black crime. Crime is based on social and economic environments. If you put a race of people
where do you live? Caller, where do you live?
Let me just finish this, Andre.
Go ahead, because what you're saying is not actually true statistically or factually. That yes, there is black on black crime, but you have crime per capita. Black people commit more crime in this country than anyone else. That's a fact. That's something we have to deal with every day. You have some of the most predominantly black areas across the country. For the last 40 years, they've been the capitals of the country.
Andre, give him 30 seconds.
Let me just get this out.
Go ahead.
Young man. All I'm saying is there is no such thing as black on black crime. That's something that was brought up in history to make us feel like that's what's going on in this country. Crime is based on social and...
By the way, Brian has so many black friends. Remember when he was going to have that one guy debate Warren Smith, but then he had to cancel. So then Brian had to hit up one of his friends to be like, hey, do you know any black people that are willing to come on my show and debate Warren Smith on racism? But I thought Brian had so many black friends. Why didn't he hit up with his black friends up? No, he had to hit up a friend to find one of their friends in order to come on the show.
Economic environment. If you put a race of people in an environment that doesn't have any schooling, doesn't have any opportunities, doesn't have any jobs, that race of people have no choice but to eat on one another. It's not. No, I'm not saying that's right, but that goes
on. Actually not true. It's actually not true. You don't even see the same effect in other countries.
You don't have an opportunity.
What are you talking about?
You have nothing but to do what you have to do to get across, to make your point, to be able to achieve your goal that you want to see every other person, survive. So you have to do that. There's no other way around it. So stop.
Brother, what are you talking about?
Black crime. It's no such thing,
what are you
man.
talking about? Yes, there's black on black crime. So black people don't kill each other? Is that what you're saying?
Now, you say you were in the military. I respect that. I was in the military.
Black people don't kill each other? Caller, black people don't
Stop doing that, bro.
Black caller. Do black people each other? Yes or no?
Do white people each other? Yes or no?
Now, see, this is, and hold on, I want to stop here because this is what black people do. Anytime we start
Yeah.
talking about black,
It's true. They do that. Like whenever you talk about black on black crime or problems with the black culture or community, they'll be like, but white people do it too. And it's like, yeah, but we're not saying white people never kill each other or never kill. We're just saying per capita, it seems to be a big issue.
people, you want to bring in white people. I'm not talking about white people. I'm saying us.
Nobody's
This is the
denying.
problem with black
Hold
people.
on, let me just
This
interject.
is the problem. No, this is the problem with black people.
Hold
Anytime
on.
we want to hold on, stop, Brian, stop. Anytime we want to talk about holding black people accountable, we want to bring the concept. Well, what about what white people doing? That's not how we get forward, brother.
Yeah.
When we go into the black community, we see the failing schools. That's done by black politicians. It's embezzle and steal money from the community. When we look at the crime in our community, that comes from the culture, from the music that we glorify, from the behaviors that we accept and we
Andre,
don't believe.
the point
When
that I
we
was
see people
trying
like
to
George
interject,
Floyd, and all these
Andre,
people get shot.
Andre,
You know
that's
why?
fine.
Because we glorify not establishing order in our
Andre,
community. I don't know what you're
Andre,
talking about,
there are people from all colors in the crayon book that commit crime. White people, black people, all sorts of people in different
Who commits
backgrounds.
more crime per capita? Who commits more crime per capita?
I think there are a lot of reasons why per capita black people.
Brian, who commits more crime per capita? Answer
You
the
would stop
question.
interrupting me. I just answered your question, but you don't.
Is it black or white? Who commits more crime per
I
capita?
just
Black or
answered
white
your.
people?
I just answered your question as
No,
you
you
would
did. Well, say it again for the
Yes,
audience.
I did. Yes,
Say
I
it
did.
again. Say it again for the audience.
I'm not going to do anything you want me to do. This is my show and not
Wow,
yours.
there we go.
I answered your.
I am your master here, boy, and you listen to me now. I mean, listen, it's my show, is what I meant to say. Okay, and you're the guest. You're not going to tell me what to do in my show. That's what I meant to say.
People don't commit more crime per capita.
I answered your question already, and then I said there are a lot of reasons why that takes place. But keep in mind that this is
so why does it take place?
Hold on one second.
Why does it take place?
Hold
Brian?
on 1 second. This man is trying to lecture me on why black people commit so many crimes, but I want everyone to keep this in mind.
Because I live in the black community. I see it every day, and I grew up around this. I know exactly what I'm talking about. You don't, Brian. You haven't been there.
Andre, you don't know where the hell I've been, and you got to let me talk for more than 10 seconds.
I can tell, Brian. I can tell, Brian, that you haven't been anywhere around.
Andre, a black man's going to lecture me. It's going to tell me about the black community. What are we doing? What is this?
Black people to understand the problems.
And I can tell that you're a right-wing grifter and you're Candace Owens with a. So what?
I'm not drifting off anything, Brian. I don't make money off my.
Why is he so weird? You're Candace Owens with a big, long 10-inch dong. Yeah. Willing to show it to me? Take off your shirt. Take off your shirt now, boy. Yeah, Brian is a parody of himself. He really is.
Content like that. I can tell you the platforms that I do. And guess what? It doesn't compare to the people who can make money off this, who do this every day, who are good, like Brandon Tatum, like Candace Owens. I don't make anything near to them.
I think you're a wannabe Candace Owens or Brandon Tatum. Yeah. That's what I think you are.
Or Brandon Tatum? Why does it have to be black? Why are you comparing them to other black people, Brian? Why do they have to be black? Why don't you compare them to like Nick Fuentes or something? Why are you comparing them to other black people, Brian? You racist.
I want to be Candace Owens. I want to be Andre Williams. That's what my grandfather and my parents taught me to be. Be Andre Williams. And Williams family, we all come and we believe the same thing. Three generations of black people like me exist.
Yeah, I would love to speak to your parents and say, "What do you think about your son, who is?"
Yeah, they agree.
Saying,
they
George,
really agree. And guess what? They give me ammunition and they send me videos like, "Hey, comment on this."
Stop. I would ask your.
What are you talking about, Brian?
I would ask your parents if they think they agree with their son that George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and Trayvon Martin, quote, deserved it.
Brian, they do. Yes,
I got that
from them and their teaching because
then your parents are just as dumb as you are.
These problems.
Then your parents are just
as dumb as me.
You are. Yes,
I would say my parents are very good Americans. You know, my father served in the Navy for 44 years. Mother has worked in insurance. She's a great mother.
Yeah,
we come from this community where we've seen this problem extensively. Brian, you haven't. That's the problem.
John, you're calling out of Illinois. I got like 3 minutes left. Quickly, John, go ahead.
Hey, Brian. I'm from Peoria, and we have a famous guy from Peoria named Richard Pryor. And a big part of his act was how overly aggressive the police were in keeping control in the city regarding a certain color. Wink, wink.
Okay, John, I appreciate the phone call. Let's go to Kava. Kava is next up on PTL. By the way, Andre, I would more than welcome to have your parents on this show. I would love to have a conversation with your parents. Let's go to
And
Kava.
I very much agree. You know, I would say they're probably far more intelligent than you are, Brian, as I am here. They would tell you exactly what you're talking about is
We'll let
false,
the
it's
listeners-
true.
we'll let-
We're not looking at like the political lens,
January
Democrat,
6th was
Republican.
made.
We're looking at race and culture, which are tied together. You keep mentioning color. Color has nothing to do with it. Race is something different from color.
You're right. So the guy who wants to
Race is genetics.
the guy who wants to lecture me on intelligence says, "quote January 6th is based." Do you realize how stupid you sound?
Yeah, it's pretty base. That's pretty base.
All right. Well, listen, Andre. Okay, well that makes you a complete imbecile because, as I mentioned before,
Listen, I think the Russian Revolution was based. Is it? Can I say that?
Listen, Andre. I wish you the best of luck. I appreciate you coming on. I do think that you say things just to get a rise out of people. It's why you call people homophobic slurs. And unfortunately,
what I say is right at the end of the day, Brian. This is the problem, and this is why I'm glad you allowed.
You're right. Our insurrection.
is right at the end of the day.
You're right, Andre. Our insurrection was based. You said George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and Trayvon
kicked him off. What a. By the way, was it an insurrection? Who was charged? Since Brian's so big on it, was anyone charged? Who was charged with January 6th for an insurrection? Who? It wasn't Donald Trump. It wasn't any of the people there. Who was charged for insurrection, Brian? Why do you call it that when no one was charged, no one was convicted in a court of law for insurrection? Why would you call it that?
Martin deserved it. You don't care about Ahmaud Arbery. You don't care about innocent people that are murdered. We had 140 officers that were injured that day. You seem to say, and you claim that January 6th was a good thing and that it was based when 140 officers were injured and people died. But you're not smart enough to either understand that, or you just make these claims so that you can become popular on social media. I don't really know why you say the things you say. I don't actually believe that you believe some of the things you say, just like many of the other grifters who say things on social media. But hey, if you think you're a great member of society and you think calling black people the N-word in a derogatory fashion, and you think using homophobic slurs is really how we get this country moving forward, then I really feel sorry for you. And I really feel sorry for your parents. And by the way, I think you were adopted. I find it hard to believe that a black man and a black woman raise a child like you to be so hateful against people that look like you. I find it virtually almost impossible to believe that. But you know what? You can shoot me a text and I will be happy to have your parents come on this show and have a conversation with them too. But Andre, I do appreciate you coming on. Thank you for being here, even though I pretty much disagree with just about everything and anything that you said. I do believe Andre was adopted, though. But Andre, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you.
No, I wasn't adopted. Great parents. We believe in the same. Like I said, 3 generations of black people who believe in the same thing. I don't hate black people. I love black people. I just hate the poor portion of our community. And I would say those are hard R's. And I think that a lot of things I say are very right. A lot of black people support me, especially here in Detroit. And given this, I'm going to do even more street interviews in person to prove that. There's a lot of black people who support what I'm saying, because unlike Brian, he doesn't know what's going on in the black community.
I don't know what's going on. Okay, Mr. Grifter, have a nice day. I appreciate you coming on. I'm sure there are tons of people that agree with you that are black. I'm sure there are tons of black Americans that think Derek Chauvin is innocent. You fool you. But anyway, I appreciate you coming on. All right, everybody. We have some very special guests.
There's like one.
There are tons of black Americans that think Derek Chauvin is innocent. You fool you. But anyway, I appreciate you coming on. All right, everybody.
Right here, David from Pennsylvania. Brian's racism is showing his treatment of this African-American man is disgusting. He doesn't even read it off. He just flashes it. So Brian will say, like, if it's at least $5 and over, I'll read it. But if it's a super chat he doesn't like, he'll flash it on the screen, but he won't read it.
We have some very special guests that are going to be joining us on the program tomorrow. I believe Destiny is going to be joining us on the program tomorrow as well. And we'll have some other special guests joining us. That was an interesting hour and a half of radio, I will say.
But yeah, so again, like, if you don't agree with Brian, then you're stupid and you don't know. His parents were dumb. He had to have been adopted.
Say that.
He had to have been adopted in order to believe that. The Cynic, thank you very much for the $10. Got nothing to say, just wanting to show your support. Thank you very much, The Cynic. I appreciate you. And also thank you very much to the A Game for the $2. Brian posted all my calls on this channel. I am dying. That's hilarious. I got to go check those out. Thank you very much, A Game, for the 2. But yeah, listen, now he believes that Andre was adopted because there's no way two black people would raise a child to be like that. You know, again, it's just there's to the libs, there's a right way and the wrong way to believe. And if you don't believe what they believe, then you believe all the wrong things pretty much. So not only is Andre has no idea what he's talking about, but his parents now also have no idea what he's talking about. And yeah, it's just crazy that Brian just treated a black man this way. And also too, like notice how he goes, you're just trying to be Candace Owens and Brandon Tatum. Two people that are completely like, yeah, I guess they're both on the right, but they both like both stand for different things. Like Candace Owens is all about conspiracy theories now. She's anti-Israel. Brandon Tatum is actually a defender of Israel. Like he's one of the people that are always going on and defending Israel and such. Like these are two people that do not believe the same things, even if they are both on the right. However, Brian says that Andre is trying to be like Candace and Brandon Tatum. But why, Brian? Why those two people? Is it because they're black? That's pretty racist of you, Brian, that you have to pick two black people who don't really believe in the same things. And you're saying Andre's trying to be like both of them. Kind of racist, Brian, if you ask me. But again, is it any surprise that the real racists here that are even more racist than us right-wing chuds are the libs? But what do you guys think about that? Sound off in the comment section below. By the way, shout out to Andre Williams. He did a great job. Make sure you guys subscribe to him. That was fantastic. Absolutely based. Absolutely based. Leave a comment in the comment section below and subscribe to my channel as well if you really enjoyed. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, did you enjoy that video? I hope you did. If you did, make sure you like and subscribe, or else you're gay. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules. I'm just trying to save you from sin. Also, make sure you catch the Cool Stream live Mondays through Fridays right here on my YouTube channel. And make sure you follow me at any of these links down below for everything Cool Vic.